All right, everyone, let's quickly start with the chapter 5, audit of item of financial statement. But before we start with the session, first we will revise what we have already studied, right? You have all your notes with you, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, beautiful. Now we understood yesterday that whenever we go to a client place and whenever we audit any item of financial statement, first we will have to decide from which financial statement this item belong. Because if it is an income statement, income statement item, the assertions that you are going to evaluate are going to be different than the balance sheet item. So in case of balance sheet items, you check the existence, completeness, rights and obligation, valuation, cutoff, and presentation and disclosure. And I told you a thing that cutoff actually becomes part of your completeness process only because when you check completeness, you check if there are no unrecorded assets or liabilities or income or expenses. Basically, all the expenses and incomes you have already recorded, right? So cutoff becomes part of that. Now, okay, so initially we started with the audit of balance sheet, that is your share capital. Now, before we go into any special cases only applies when there is a change in the share capital balance, right? So that is why you have 6 process. General 6 process for audit of share capital. Remember, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, 6 process. How many process were there? 6 only, no? Yeah, it is 6, right? So first of all, what you do is you take out the whatever is the closing balance. 31st March ka jo bhi closing balance hai, you take that and you compare that with the closing balance that is there on last year 31st, last year audited financial statement or unaudited financial statement ka jo bhi 31st March ka balance hai, you take that. And now wo 12 months ke पीरियड डिफरेंस में जो भी इशू हुआ है शेयर कैपिटल और देयर इज अ रिडक्शन इन द शेयर कैपिटल, you want to compare both and see whether there is any change or not. If there is no change, then you will call up the management and tell management there is no change. I have seen from your financial statement, but can you at least give me what you will ask from the management?
Written representation.
A written representation that there is no change, right? Okay, so this is the case when there is no change. But what if you found a change?
Resolutions be copied, certified copies.
You will obtain the certified copy of the resolution from management by saying that management, give me the certified copy of resolution which you have passed at the board meeting and subsequently which that got passed at the meeting of members of the company, right?
Yes, sir.
Then if there is an increase in the authorized share capital, then you will receive the copy of what? Which form?
CH7.
S7.
If there is an increase
part
in paid up
3.
share capital, then
Part 3.
PAS,
PS3.
right? Okay. Then you verify the
Then
number of
evaluate.
securities along with the issue price based on that form, right? And then you will, if there is an increase in the paid up share capital, you will ensure that the paid up share capital doesn't go above what?
Limits.
Limits
Limit.
written in
Authorized capital
AOA.
limit.
Authorized capital.
Beautiful. In case of authorized share capital, you also have to verify whether the company has paid what?
Accurately fees or stamp duty.
Fees and the stamp duty is paid, paid to the MCA, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and you will receive a copy of it, right? And then we had how many special cases? 4 special cases, right, guys? All of you have your notes in front of you.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
sir.
You all keep your cameras on. Are you all awake? Washed your face, brushed your teeth, ready for the class? Please join back. Shoaib, are you here? Shoaib, please participate in the class as much as possible, because if you are not participating, like you are not talking in between the class now, then you will feel bored in a while and then you will drop from the class. So don't do that, please, dear. So only few days are remaining. And if you have any concern, like you can always reach out to me, but please make sure that you are participating in the class, right? Okay, let's talk about, you found out that a company has changed, there is a change in the share capital balance, outstanding balance as compared to the last year. And the change is because the company has issued the shares at premium. Now, whenever the company has changed the, company has issued the shares at premium, you will first see, okay, is there any section in the Companies Act which talks about issue of shares at premium? So then you will realize which section talks about issue of shares at premium.
Section 52 of the company.
Section
Section
52.
Section 52 of the Companies Act. So Section 52 says whenever the company raises money at a premium, they will first have to keep that extra amount, that premium amount, into what account?
Share.
Securities premium.
Securities premium
Security
account.
premium.
Security premium account separately, right? And then though that money can only be utilized for the special 5
5 cases.
5
purposes, right? The very first one is for issuing a fully paid
bonus share.
Bonus share.
Shares.
right? Then second, they can purchase their own shares or securities under what section?
Under
Section
68
68.
of the
Section
company.
Buyback.
68.
And then for providing for the premium that is payable on
Redemption of debentures.
Redemption
Redemption of
redemption of
preference shares and
debentures
debentures.
Preference
Preference
shares.
shares.
right, in both the cases. And then they can use the same money for writing of the preliminary
Preliminary expense.
and
Discounts.
any discount,
Commission or
Of
discounts.
expense or commission paid on
Yes,
discount allowed and issue of shares.
Other than that, so what I told you one thing, whenever you are writing the answer, in the end, you will conclude that. So first you will write as per the section, and then you will write auditor need to verify all those two, three things and the purpose utilization sections and everything. And that's how you close the answer. So never just write the provision and end the answer there itself. Yes, Ghanshyam.
मैम इसके अंदर ही सेक्शन 133 भी अप्लाई होता है ना मैम, जो जिसको अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स के थ्रू अपने बैलेंस शीट बनाते हैं तो उसमें 2 पर्पस यूज नहीं होता, तो वो भी बताओ ना.
But नहीं, extra मत देना, like share, they don't use in the ICI material, no?
मैम है यूज है.
अच्छा है क्या उसके अंदर?
हाँ, तो मैम मैं कल देख रहा था तो मैं तो पूछना था.
Okay, so
तो
what are those provisions 131 का, आप एक बार बोलोगे मुझे?
मैम एक मिनट मैम, उसमें बोला है अगर कोई भी कंपनी जिसके वो सेक्शन 133 अप्लाई होता है तो सिर्फ 3 पर्पस के लिए यूज कर सकते हैं. एक तो unissued equity shares to the company issued to members as a fully paid bonus share, writing of writing of expense or commission paid on discount or purchase of its own shares. 15
Securities.
purpose.
Okay, so do one thing, just write these 5 purposes for the exam point of view. From your knowledge point of view, that is good, but I say is not expecting that you will write that over here, because the maximum they will ask the question for 4 or 5 marks. Then how much extra can you write? Right? So you also have to think from the marks point of view and how much you have to present it over there. Now the thing is, your client wants to issue shares at discount. What will you see your client?
Shares cannot be issued at discount.
No, right? So a company is prohibited from issuing shares at discount except when they want to issue
Sweat equity shares.
Equity shares under
equity
section 54
shares
of the
to
company.
their
Employees
employees
or
or
directors.
directors, right? But if they still issue shares at discount,
Is
Void.
void.
It is
it will
void.
be void, right? However, the company may issue shares at discount when to its creditor, when it is
That restructure
Converted that
converted
into
into equity shares.
shares.
shares as per what?
Statutory resolution plan.
Statutory resolution
Statutory
plan.
resolution plan, right? And then you can write, if the company fails to make the requirement of this provision, then every company and the officer in default shall be punishable with the penalty
Amount raised.
and the
5 lakh
amount
amount
equivalent
raised,
to
whichever is
Rates
amount raised
Amount raised.
or
or
5
5
lakh,
lakh.
whichever is lower.
less
Whichever is lower,
lower, and then they
And-
will also have to
refund money
refund the
refund all amount
per
and
annum
12% per
from the
annum
date
interest.
of issue of share.
Issue of
Yes,
shares.
guys, those who have just joined, we have just revising what we have studied tomorrow and yesterday, and then we will do the rest of the items of like today we are going to target all the items of P&L statement first, and then we will do the writing practice of it. Now, okay, let's start with what if your client has issued shares to its employees or director. Then what will you check first? First, you will write what is the meaning of sweat equity shares, right? So what is the meaning of sweat equity share? The company issues shares to its employees or director at a
Discount.
Discount
or for
for
consideration
providing
Other cash.
Other than cash.
other than
for
cash.
providing
For providing their know-how.
Know-how.
Intellectual property and value addition.
and value addition, right? And what are the conditions to be satisfied as per section?
Same
54.
class of share.
Section 54.
54.
Page, how many condition needs to be satisfied? Like you have to check first whether this issue is authorized by
Authorized by
Special resolution.
special resolution.
and then a special resolution specify
Number of shares,
Number of
current
shares,
market
market
price,
price,
and market price,
consideration,
And
consideration,
class of
Consideration,
direct
class of
employees.
classes of
employees
direct
to
current
whom
employees to whom
shares
such
are issued,
shares are
right? And if the
issued.
company is listed in the stock exchange, then
Then you
Comply with the
follow
check
regulations
the
of
SEBI
SEBI.
compliance
comply
of
with the
SEBI.
SEBI
SEBI
regulations
regulation.
rules, right? And if it is not listed, then they will have to comply with the rules prescribed therein, right? Right? Companies Act में. Are you able to recall everything, guys?
यस मैम, सेक्शन 54 चेक करने से पहले एक चीज चेक करना पड़ता है, वो आपने बोला।
क्या चीज section 54?
Same class of
हाँ,
share.
सेक्शन
Acha,
50
yeah. Remember. So there was one more point which says the auditor must verify that the sweat equity shares are of the same class of shares which are already issued. Yes. So
Yes,
they
ma'am.
cannot issue a new class of shares for the employees and directors as sweat equity shares. Then comes the reduction of capital. Now, reduction of capital mein there is a sequence in which you have to verify as an auditor. First, you will see whether the which
Minutes of
document authorizes
आर्टिकल
article of association authorizes the
article
reduction of
reduction of capital.
Reduction of share
Yes.
capital.
Then you will verify what has been passed
Special
order of
resolution.
tribunal.
Special resolution.
at a meeting of shareholders. Then you will examine the order of tribunal confirming the
Reduction,
and ensure that the copy of
Orders of the minutes.
order and
Or-
minutes
minutes have been passed, orders and the minutes have been registered with the
registered with the ROC.
ROC.
right. Then you will verify whether what is modified suitably
मेमोरेंडम ऑफ आर्टिकल।
memorandum of association. Then the company has verified the ROC is certifying that reduction, right? And then all of these statutory requirements are fulfilled, then you will come and the entry must have passed the general entry for reducing the share capital and adjusting the assets on the asset side, right? So you will verify those general entries, yes. And then you will ensure the requirement of what schedule is fulfilled. Schedule 3, Schedule 3 requirement
Schedule
for
3.
disclosure of reduced capital has been complied with, and also confirm that whether the words called words
And reduce
And
the
reduce.
balance
is
sheet.
added as per the tribunal order, right? And then last May you will verify whether the subsequent adjustment has been made in the
Register for shareholders.
members account in the register of
members.
members. Beautiful.
मैम
Yes.
मैम वो पूछना था, कैपिटल रिड्यूस करने से पहले एक और चीज चेक करना पड़ता है कि मतलब कंपनी ने कोई डिफॉल्ट नहीं किया है डिपॉजिट एक्सेप्ट करने में और इंटरेस्ट उसका पेमेंट करने में।
Correct. These are the preconditions whenever they are reducing the capital. Yes. You can write that. It's a good point. Okay, can we come to borrowing? So we did the borrowings, right, yesterday, and we did the borrowings existence, completeness, and valuation. All of this we did. Then the additional disclosures we did, right? You remember the additional disclosures in case of borrowing? First, whether the
रिटर्न
Full defaulter loan.
Additional requirement पूछ रहे हो ना?
additional disclosures, हाँ.
Willful
First one,
default.
whether the company has
वो
Borrowing on basis of
declared
current
as
assets.
willful
yes, whether the
defaulter by
company has
bank
borrowed
or
money on the
financial
basis of the security of their current assets.
Current assets.
current
And then
assets.
they have to file what? A return of
Quarterly return.
Return.
quarterly
declaration and details of such default.
to bank and financial institution whether they are in agreement with the books of account. Guys, are you able to recall these points?
Yes, sir.
So that's okay. I don't assume that you will just memorize everything like in a day, but let's revise it so that you are able to. Let's try to recall at least. So next time you will be able to say it without looking into your notes. I'll share my screen so that you can also see all those points on the screen. Yes, you all can see my screen now. So the first point we said, Baba, if the company has borrowed money on the basis of securities of the current assets, then it shall disclose whether the quarterly returns of the current asset is filed by the company to the bank and financial institution. And not just that the quarterly statement is filed, you will also verify whether it agrees with
books of account.
yes. Guys, rest of the guys, you have not written this yesterday, kya?
No, ma'am, we wrote.
You wrote, na? Okay. Then if not, then the summary of reconciliation and sorry, that
Yes.
was
Material discrepancy.
Summary and reason for
With material discrepancies.
Acha, okay. So this is related to this only, no? If not, then the summary of reconciliation and the reason of material discrepancy shall be disclosed. Right? Okay, so
Yes.
if that doesn't, if their return is not matching with the books of account, right? Okay. Now the second point we said that this is the same point which was in clause 9 of
Caro
Caro
point.
right?
Yes,
There
sir.
also there is a point where the company is declared as
Willful default.
Full
Defaulter.
defaulter.
full defaulter, right? And you have the similar point over there. Then the third point is whether the company, if there are any charges on the assets of the company, then the registration of such charges has been filed with
Registrar.
registrar ROC. Yes. Then the company had disclosed the utilization of the borrowed fund, that is
Borrowed funds.
fourth. Yes. And the fifth is
Borrowing not used for specific purpose.
if the borrowings has not been used for the specific purpose, the company shall disclose the details where they have been used. And you have the similar point related to this in your clause 9 Caro 2020, right? And then the buyback, in this point, whenever the company in point 2, there what you details you have to give whether if the company is not declared as a willful defaulter, so you will give if they have been declared as willful defaulter, then the date of such declaration and details of such default has to be given, right? I told you that you will do the disclosure requirement of long term and short term, which is also easy. Did you do it?
Yes, sir.
Can you all send the photo of these disclosures in the group right now on the WhatsApp group? Everyone take the photo and send it if you have done it. And those who have not, can you please write in the chat box that when are you going to share the photo? Do that on WhatsApp because I want you to be accountable towards what you are writing. Those who have completed the disclosure for long-term borrowing and short-term borrowing, आप उसका click a photo of your notes and then send it in the group. If you have not done, then write when you are going to submit it in the WhatsApp itself, and I'll check it by tonight.
मैम मैंने ये लिख के नहीं किया है.
Why? मैंने बोला था ना, Payal, you should have the habit of scribbling. I am fine if you are not writing it properly, but just scribble is somewhere. It should look like that you have studied, right?
मैम मैंने नहीं लिखा क्योंकि मैंने कल आपके वो 25 डे बैच से कंप्लीट कर रहा था तो उसमें ये हेलो
हाँ, no problem. See, you just write that whenever you complete, you just write it over there.
ओके
Okay. So in the meanwhile, let's revise what is going to be, what are the things that you are going to check in the borrowing. Now, what are the assertion we are going to check here is we will check the existence, completeness, valuation, and P&D. And never think that why are they not including cutoff over there? Because I told you, cutoff always become part of the completeness in the end. Now, whenever you obtain one audit evidence, not necessarily, see, never ever in your practical life it is going to happen कि आप एक दिन सारा टीम मिलके एग्जिस्टेंस चेक करने जाओगे सेम आइटम का, नेक्स्ट डे यू विल चेक द कंप्लीटनेस, थर्ड देन आफ्टर दैट you will check the valuation. That is not going to happen. So you can obtain one audit evidence and from one audit evidence आपको existence, completeness, valuation, P&D सबका confirm evidence मिल जाता है, right? So ऐसा नहीं होता है कि ये एकदम separately check करोगे. So बहुत बार points आपको overlapping भी लग सकता है and that is completely fine, right? So now review the board of okay. So whenever you have to perform some procedures on for the existence, right? So for the existence of borrowing, you will check whether first you have to check what the
Give you board minutes.
board minutes and
board meeting
for the approval of new lending agreement.
New
So
lending.
the new lending agreement, like with any bank financial institution, definitely there will be a discussion on board and board must have approved that. So please make sure that such agreements are
Authorized.
right. And if there is any significant debt commitment, then it is approved by
Directors.
board of directors. Guys, are you all here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Then agree with the details of the loans recorded in terms of uska interest rate, nature and the repayment of terms to the loan agreement, and verify if the agreement provides any borrowing limit such as not exceeded. So I told you there is a limit in case of cash credit and overdraft. Cash credit and overdraft mein bank or financial institutions issues, they give a certain sanction limit under which only the borrower can withdraw the amount. You have to see whether your client has not exceeded that limit. Yes, everyone? Can you all roll out external confirmation as per 505?
Yes. For
You can?
independent balance.
Yes. So ascertain whether obtaining confirmation in this case will be relevant. When do you feel that obtaining confirmation is not going to be relevant? In which kind of loan or debt you are going to feel that taking confirmation from the lender is not relevant?
Ma'am, for small loans.
What? No.
Debentures and trust deed.
For debentures. So debentures may you
Debenture.
can't send the confirmation letter to all the debenture holders. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
For rest of the loans lending, you will have to take no small loans, big loans, nothing. 100% confirmation from the bank and financial institution or any other lending party needs to be received. Guys, do you agree?
Yes, ma'am. 100.
Yes. There in the year 2012, there was a big scam called as Satyam. The
Yes,
company then turned into Mitas or something, right? MAYTAS. When that news came out, PwC was actually the auditor of Satyam. And one of the out of all the things that were listed there of the the wrongdoings of the company and the misses of the auditor, in which one of the point written there were some banks which did not provided the bank confirmation. Auditor did not follow up and did not even take the confirmation from 100% of the banks and the financial institution, and they audited the bank balances as it is, which was not the right bank balance with the bank, and there was no reconciliation. Whatever the reconciliation client has prepared, auditor has approved that as well. Right? So no matter what, you will obtain 100% of the confirmation from the bank and financial institution. If they are not confirming, send the reminder for non-replies. And if you find there is a difference in the confirmation you have received and the entity's balance, then ask the entity to prepare a reconciliation of the items, and then you verify those reconciliation of items. In case of debentures, you will examine the trust deed, right, for the terms, date of redemption, and if there is any compliances, and then you will obtain a written representation from the entity for what? That
Valid claim.
all the liabilities which have been recorded in books of account represents a valid claim from the lenders.
Lender. Yes, ma'am.
For completeness, you will obtain
Schedule of
Schedule of
short-term
short-term
and
and
short-term and
long-term borrowing.
long-term borrowing, including
long-term debt outstanding at year end.
then any new
That
or there has been any
Date or
renewal of debt. So you will ask the client to give you the short-term and long-term borrowing. So short-term and long-term borrowing schedule. Now, in which they have to show what is the balance at the opening, like on 1st of April, what is the balance as on 31st March, borrowing taken and repaid during the year, and then you will perform the additional procedures. And when you perform additional procedure, you will obtain the evidences of the if there is any additional debt during the year by examining the minutes of
board
board meeting.
meeting.
Board of directors.
Significant
Contract
contracts with the related party. Then you will obtain confirmation from the
from banks
Bank.
and lenders.
supporting for the repayments and
payments,
trace the balances
Closing
from schedule to books of account, right? And then you will also review the transaction after year end to determine if there is any unrecorded liability. Example, fresh loan taken at the end of the year. Cut off. Yes? Guys, are you able to recall everything?
Yes, ma'am.
See,
Yes,
I am not saying that you should be memorizing everything now only. I understand it takes time. It's a process that goes. You will revise today, then you will revise again after 2 days. But at least you should you should at least feel that yes, you have studied that 24 hours ago, right? Around this time yesterday, you were taking this class.
yes, ma'am.
All verify valuation. Priyanka, are you here?
Yes, ma'am.
Geeta, Harsiddhi,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
did you all wake up late or what? All of you. Kesha?
Hi, ma'am.
Okay. Yes. Chalo. Let's start with for valuation. For valuation, you will obtain the understanding of the accounting policy and method of recording debts, whether it is appropriate and they are applied consistently. That is first thing. Then you will agree the loan balances with
Loan agreement.
Loan
loan
agreement.
agreement. So whatever is the loan balances in the books of account, you will agree that with the loan agreement, and then you will recompute the
Interest
discount,
of
and
premium
discount.
or on any or on redemption or redemption if any, and check the computation of amortization of
Premium or
Premium or
discount,
discount.
if any.
any. And for foreign currency loan, you will check the
Closing
Compliance of
exchange rate.
AS. Very best
closing
of this.
exchange rate and verify the restatement of the foreign currency balances outstanding at the year.
Year end.
Year end.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
beautiful. Now, come to items of income statement, everyone. So let's complete the items of income statement now, and after that, we will revise thoroughly the entire items of income statement. Yes, everyone? Done? The first one is audit of sale of product and services and audit of other income. Two different items, absolutely. Other income cannot be checked in the same manner in which you are going to check the sales. Do you have the special cases in the sales?
Yes. Sale on consignment.
And
Sale on approval basis.
goods sent on approval basis. Yes, so those are two special cases, and then you have the general procedure for the sales. Now, can you tell me what is the assertion for the P&L item?
Occurrence.
Completeness.
Completeness.
Completeness. Cut off.
Measurement.
Measurement.
Presentation and
P&L.
disclosure.
Disclose as per FR.
Did I miss anything? Naina?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now, so first you will have to do certain things before you start doing the existence completeness valuation. So you will have the general procedure. So first we are going to take the audit of sale of items first. Audit of sale of products and service, the audit procedures. So there are not going to be any indirect question from chapter 5. If you have ever seen the question paper, they will give you a very direct question over there. If they ask you audit procedures for audit of product or services, so first you will, you remember SA330 audit procedures?
Yes,
You
sir.
always do the test of control and then the substantive audit procedures. Under substantive audit procedure, you do test of details
Test of
and
details,
analytical
analytical
procedures.
procedures.
Analytical
Just
procedure.
remember this sequence. Now everything will fall into one of these three: TOC, TOD, and analytical procedure. So in case of audit of sales, first of all, you go and understand the entities control so that you can identify the control points over sales. The very first thing you have to understand, where are the entity is putting controls, where are the management has implemented controls, because then only you will be able to identify whether the controls are appropriately controls are operating effectively or not. Then once you have identified those control, test the controls identified to determine how effectively they are operating. Yes?
Yes,
If
ma'am.
controls are operating effectively, what will happen? Will you do more test of details or
Yes,
less
ma'am.
test of details?
More test of details.
If controls are operating effectively, then test of details ज़्यादा थोड़ी करेंगे, कम करना उल्टा होता है ना.
Done.
When
अच्छा,
more effective, you are going to reduce your substantive testing.
अच्छा.
If you are not going to rely on the controls, then you have to, in that case, increase your substantive testing, right? If the controls are operating effectively, then reduce the amount of substantive testing. That is what you studied in test of details, right? If you are going to rely on the controls, then you have to reduce the sample size. If you are not going to rely on control, sample size you will have to increase. If controls are not operating effectively, increase the samples for substantive testing. After that, so you have tested the controls, and then you have to select, you have to do the substantive testing. For substantive testing, you will apply SA 530 and you will draw the sample, right?
Sample.
So select the samples as per SA 530 and examine following. For each sales that you have selected in your sample, you will check the customer order copy. Then you will examine the invoices raised to customers. Then obtain customer statements, right? You will examine the dispatch details such as receipt issued by transporter to verify whether the material actually left the factory or not. Yes. Then you will perform substantive analytical procedures, which consist of sales के ऊपर what procedures you can apply, guys?
Trend analysis.
You can do the trend analysis and compare it with
Previous year.
last year, previous year, or compare it with
Budgeted.
budget.
Sales.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
You can also other companies in the industry. Industry analysis also you can do. Then can you also disaggregate the data here for the sales? All the sales data you can disaggregate into different category wise. So you can do the same analysis region wise, product wise, however you feel, right? So extension to point 4 says auditor shall perform analytical procedures to disaggregated data such as customer wise sales, region wise sales, or C, product wise sales. And then compare it with the last year with the budgets or with the other companies in the industry wherever it is relevant. And last in this procedure, auditor shall examine the sales price of product and services over year, comma, monthly average sales price per product or service and discount policies if any. And suppose if there is a discount policy, then what will you do? You will calculate if the, for some of the samples, you will also see if the calculation of discount is correct, because then if there can be a bug in the system due to which the discount is calculated incorrectly, or there is a weak control into the system. So sales employee went and the person who is raising the invoice, he went in the back end of the system, or wahan se usne instead of 10%, he has given 20% discount to some of its customer, right? He can do that. So these are the general procedure that you will remember at all point of time about sales. Done, guys?
Yes, ma'am.
मैं एक मिनट नीचे का पानी देती हूँ.
Ma'am, last point.
Yes, please.
And what is the second sub point in this aggregation of sales data?
Region wise.
Ma'am, और reason के ऊपर क्या है? Reason wise के ऊपर.
Customer wise. Done, everyone? Guys, please write quickly. We have a lot to cover today.
Yes. Then, ma'am.
Everyone, have you completed? Now, suppose they don't ask you a general question, right?
मैम,
Yes.
अभी जो हमने जो किया पाँच और 6 पॉइंट, तो क्वेश्चन इफ एग्जाम में आया तो कैसे आएगा?
Question they
ये
will ask you, how do you verify sales of product or services, or how does an audit, or what are the audit procedures for the sales of product and services? So you will write these points. But suppose they are very peculiar about it, and now they are saying, okay, how do you verify the existence? Or how do you establish the, existence nahi, how do you establish the occurrence? how to establish the completeness. So then you will have a different set of point over there. They
Okay.
will ask you a single question. What is the procedure to identify to examine the audit of sales of product or service? तो आप सिर्फ वो लिख कर आओ. But if they ask you audit procedures to examine or establishing occurrence. Occurrence is when you want to establish whether that event has actually occurred or not, right?
Yes. And those are general audit procedures.
Yes, those are general audit procedure. So basically, whenever you establish occurrence, you want to establish whether the sales is genuine or not, right? Because what I can do is, as a client, suppose I am your client, I can receive, I just want to, I want to show the fake sales, right? So because I want to show a picture that my business is doing good, I am going to show some fake sales. Fake sales दिखाने के लिए एक ही customer order के basis पर multiple times I have actually raised the invoices. जिसकी वजह से देयर इज अ इंक्रीज इन द इन्फ्लेटेड सेल्स दिखेगा आपको, राइट? सो टू इंश्योर द रेवेन्यू is not inflated or overstated, auditor is required to perform following. First, check whether single invoice is recorded twice. Check whether single invoice is recorded twice. Check whether fictitious customer order and sales are recorded. Check whether any shipment are done without customer order. You can also obtain confirmation from few customers to ensure genuineness of sales transaction. Remember when we were studying SA 505, so I was always asking this question because that question is also in the book. You need not necessarily always obtain the confirmation from the closing balances. You can also obtain it to confirm a particular terms of a contract, particular sales transactions as well. So see, if you think there are some high value transaction about which you have a doubt whether it is related party with or whether it is genuine or not, anything that you have a doubt on that particular transaction, you can obtain the confirmation from the customer for that.
Yes, ma'am.
मैम लास्ट में क्या है? फ्रॉम डैश कस्टमर टू इंश्योर. Obtain confirmation.
Few customers. Test check few invoices with relevant entries in books of account. And last,
मैम
yeah,
ये जो recent वाला point समझा नहीं, like
which one?
जो invoices one,
Sorry, which points you are saying?
the recent one जिसके पहले
अच्छा, the test check few invoices with the relevant entries in books of account.
या मैम बिकॉज अगर इनवॉइस बना है तो हम बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स में डालेंगे बिकॉज हम लोग को प्रॉफिट इनक्लूड करना है, तो मतलब क्या चेक करेंगे?
No, I'll tell you. So what happens? So understand a system in the entity. How does it goes? This is accounts department. This is the warehouse where all the materials are stored, right? So transporter will not go to accounts department. Transporter will go to warehouse to collect the packages. So there is a guy in the warehouse, right? Warehouse manager, warehouse, like some person sitting in the warehouse who will have a computer system over here. So this person will actually raise the invoice sitting at the warehouse. Then if the entity has automated system will get a link that the material is dispatched and the invoice is raised, and this system will be linked to accounts department, and then in their account department there will be a computer through which this accounting entry will be automatically hit if there is a automated system. Otherwise, in older times, or you will see in the small clients also, warehouse person will raise the invoice, then he will, during the day, whatever invoices he have raised, he will just stack it up, and just at the end of the day he will take all of that to the accounts department. And then there will be one accounting guy sitting in the accounts department who will then make the accounting entry in the tally or other software for this sales. So accounting and raising invoices are actually done by two different departments. In very small entities only, you will see the accounting department is only raising invoices. Otherwise, accounting department will do the accounting of it. Invoicing department is always different. It is the person who is sitting in the warehouses who will handle the invoicing part.
So ma'am, when you said they can like raise fake invoices, so how will they do that? Like they'll do something with the guy sitting at the warehouse?
Yeah. So the guy who is sitting in the, so there can be two ways. Accounting department can also do the same thing, right? So for example, accounting department will actually book a invoice with, say, for example, if you see a software like Tally, it is such a vulnerable system. Like I and you can easily put a accounting entry into Tally, right? And you will see this in some of your clients. So when you pass the accounting entry in Tally, you doesn't need to have a reference of a customer order. So I'll tell you how the controls work. In an automated environment, for every sales invoice you raise, if you don't have the customer order number attached to it, system will give you a pop-up that valid customer order is needed. Valid customer order is needed. But when there is a software like Tally, even if you don't have a customer order, you can simply go and pass a entry debtors account debit to sales account, and it will raise the sales invoice. So it depends on what system they are using. Otherwise, I can say, so that is why you have to see now. Remember the first point you have written. What are the control points of sales over sales? Because management will make sure that they have the right software. Even if they are using the Tally, still they will put some control so that people do not raise fake invoices unless and until there is a valid customer order. But if they do not have this control point that every sales invoice should be linked to a valid customer order, they can still generate. Did you understand? So you will find this problem
Yes,
in your
ma'am.
client places. Some client will have a very like nice automated system using SAP, Oracle, all those softwares, and it takes a huge investment, right? Like crores of investment it takes to establish a system like SAP in an entity. But there are some small business ventures, and those they don't want to spend that much in the softwares. Like they can't afford that much of maintenance also later on. So they will rely on a Sasta software. Now Sasta software will also have a lacuna in terms of establishing controls, automated controls. So then they will put manual controls. They will ask the accounting guy, you have to make sure for every sales invoice there is a regular customer order. Unless and until you get a customer order and you get a signature of the sales head, you don't book that invoice. Things like that, manual controls then they establish over there.
Okay, ma'am. So, ma'am, in case of manual controls, this point won't work, no?
With related to in case of manual, no, but you will still have, see, as an auditor you can't just rely if there is a manual control or automated control. You have to take out some samples and check whether that particular, so for example, if you found that there is an automated control, every for every sales invoice there is a customer, like valid customer copy, right? And it is automatically linked to the into the system. Then also you will have to test whether it is correct or not. So you will still take out some sample and test. If you find that 100% of the cases system doesn't allow to raise an invoice unless there is a valid customer copy, then it is fine. But then still you will have to test it once whether that every valid customer, every valid sales invoice has a valid customer order, and that sales invoice gets booked into the accounting journal entry. It should not happen the invoice is read but there is no parallel accounting or account posting is done.
Okay, ma'am, got it. Thank you.
So normally this is, so I'll tell you, Riddhi, what will happen when you go to a client place now during your articleship, no, your boss will tell you, Riddhi, take some samples now. And this is called as O2C process. So they will ask you to test at each point of time whether the customer order copy was there, sales invoice was raised based on this customer copy, then the material is dispatched regarding this against this sales, then the once the sales invoice is raised, then after that accounting tally, and you have to see the entry in the books of account. Then after that, if the customer has given the money, then the money is received for that particular invoice, then it is also adjusted to those particular invoices only. So this is the entire O2C process from customer order to the cash process. You will have to verify for each of those samples. Then you will realize how this works in case of automated controls. For each of this process, you will check the automated control points. Otherwise, you will have to check the manual control points. And if you find any lacuna is there, then you will say that controls are not working effectively. Yes,
Okay,
and you
ma'am.
can prove it with your substantive testing also.
Hmm.
Done?
Yeah,
Then,
ma'am.
okay, beautiful. Now let's take the last point. Whether any substantial uncertainty exists about collectability. So whenever you see a sales invoice and you are like, no, this doesn't even mention a proper address of the customer, the GST reference of that customer is missing, something is wrong with you. When you see the customer order copy, you don't feel like this is a genuine customer altogether. You will suddenly have a doubt whether this is a fake sales. And if it is a fake sales and it is booked in the books of account, then there is an uncertainty that the money will never be received. And if the money is never received, then you will have to call your client and tell client, please take provision for bad debt. And if you feel that this is if you are 100% sure that this is a fake sales craze, then and you can establish this is a fraud, then you will have to call the management and you will have to tell that management your accounting people are doing the fraud. Yes, and in case of fraud, remember what is that clause where you have to report the fraud in case of companies?
Clause 11.
Clause 11. Everyone will do Karo. One more time.
मैम ये 5th पॉइंट में टेस्ट चेक के नीचे क्या लिखा है?
Few invoices. Now, please understand, this is the process you have done only to check whether the sales is not inflated and overstated, under which you had so many points. Now you will, along with this process, you will review the sequence of sales invoices. So if you want to see if there is any cancelled invoice in that list, entire list, or if there is any sales return or something like that, what you do, ask your client to give the dump of all the 12 months invoices raised in a Excel file. Yes. And then you just simply do the minus of minus of invoice 1 and invoice 2, just the minus of their sequence, right? And see what is the difference between these two invoices. If you suddenly feel that there is invoice number 3, but after that you will only find the invoice number 5, then where did the invoice number 4 go? Is it a cancelled invoice? If yes, then what was the reason for it? So simply do a sequence check of the sales invoice numbers. Then
Review the general entries
review the journal entries
for unusual transactions.
for unusual transaction. And you will start to notice that unusual transaction the moment you apply some analytical procedure into your sales data, and you will see unusual transaction then and there itself, and you go and verify that there are general entries, then their subsequent collectability from the customer and everything, right? And then fourth, you will calculate
Ratios of sales return to sales.
ratio of sales return to sales. And you can, whenever you calculate a ratio, you can always compare it with your
Previous year.
years, right? So see how much is the percentage increase in the sales return. Compare it with previous year. And whenever you compare, you will find a deviation. So inquire about reasons for
Increase or decrease.
increase or decrease. Just last point for the existence occurrence, everyone. Why do I keep saying existence? I am still at the balance sheet mode. Kya? So so this is the ratio analysis you did for the sales return. Now related to the sales return, check sales return with sales invoice, challans, credit note, and stock register. Now, Priyanka, can you tell me why are we seeing the stock register in case of sales return?
Ma'am, to verify whether sales was actually occurred or not.
No, we are talking about sales return.
The stock has returned back.
Exactly. So you have to see whenever the sales is made, the material get dispatched. Whenever the customer has returned the money, that is inventory. If it is still good, it has to go back to the stock. If it is bad, it will have to go into the stock of obsolete inventory, but it will have to book into the system back. Yes, everyone. Why would you check the credit note, challans, and the sales invoices?
To make sure that
Yes, sir.
the customer gets the money back or like just the credit.
And this is a valid sales return also. So you have to see if they have not done the sales return of any transaction for which the entity itself has not made any sales. Yes.
Yeah, like
Yes.
fake sales at the end of the year, and then April May sales return.
Yes, exactly. That is your cutoff. You will have to write this under completeness, I guess now. So under completeness, they will do the same thing, no? So completeness ke liye what they will complete, whenever you see the completeness, you will try to understand that cutoff also becomes part of your completeness. Take the year-end sales and find out if there are any fictitious sales. Because if there is a fictitious sale, you will see the subsequent sales returns in the month of April booked in the company. Now, shall I take the next one? After, guys, will you be able to remember all of this till your exams? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
You will have to now. You will be. Chalo. Can we do completeness
Yes, ma'am.
and valuation, right? Sorry, why valuation? Why, Madhu? Why?
Measurement.
Measurement. When was the last time sales was asked in the exam? I think long back. I have not seen sales being asked recently. Do you
Mom,
know?
make up points and write also. Like just
Yes, yeah. It is that easy. You can now. Okay, so now whenever you do the control completeness, first perform the cutoff procedures. Right? Perform cutoff procedures to ensure revenue are recognized in current accounting period and sales were not tampered towards period end. Then relating to cutoff, they have given the meaning of cutoff ki cutoff normally कब होता है. So cutoff error arises usually when company recognizes. Guys, yesterday in the yesterday session, I have very well explained the cutoff with the example, proper example for the purchases and sales. So do watch that portion so that you can actually understand how company make that mistake, like no practically how do they play with the numbers. So cutoff errors arises usually when company recognizes revenue based on the date on which sales invoices generated rather than on date when risk and reward are transferred. So the second point was actually the extension of first point only. Now during the period, whatever are the credit notes, because you are checking the completeness, so verify the credit notes issued during the year, because sometimes sales team or sales team can make fictitious sales before year end to meet target and then cancel out those sales after year end and generate credit note. What is the best way to find out whether the risk and reward is transferred?
Dispatchment of the goods.
Dispatch goods, dispatch. So whenever the transporter takes the material out, he always is. So for example, whenever you do a Indian Post or a courier, you always get a receipt, right? That the material is actually been dispatched. Now, so I am telling you this just now for your exam point of view. Now think, whenever you do this practically, like AS9 doesn't always apply on the basis of when the goods are dispatched. Just keep this thing in mind. Now you will learn more about this in your article shift days. Not necessarily every time you have to see the invoice, because there is something called as terms of dispatch. For example, something called as free on receipt, something called as door delivery. All these terms are agreed with the customer, and based on these terms it will depend whether you want to when exactly the risk and reward will be transferred. Yes, so trace from the shipping documents to the sales journal. Now, you have to do a quantity reconciliation over here. Check. Quantity appearing in sales register with stock record and statutory records like GST. So there is a form in GST from where you can identify how many invoices are raised to which customer. Again, then there is a stock record in which entities inventory record in which there is a plus and minus. Whenever there is a material receipt, there will be a plus. Whenever there is a material issue, there will be minus. Then simultaneously trace the amount in the sales register. Now, this is a huge reconciliation. So it doesn't always happen as part of the sales audit. It happens generally for the inventory audit. Now, as part of inventory audit, you always keep in mind that some of the invoices you can check for the sales audit as well. And in the end, review GST returns and reconcile it with sales account in P&L. So what you are raising to the customer, the P&L for the sales for the month, it should also get reflected in the GST returns. If there is a reconciliation item, then you see why there is a change in the month. Because mostly if it is something related to March month, you will always see that if the invoices are already raised and the books in the and sales is booked in the month of March, but it is considered in the GST return, it is considered as a sales for the month of April. Right? So always see if there is any difference in point of time in which the sales are recorded in the statutory records and in the books of account. Now, if you feel that do we need to remember all of this when it comes to the completeness, the answer is yes, because ICAI is very much interested in asking you a question based on a particular assertion. So can you tell me what are the points we studied about? Can we go back to occurrence, guys? Can we just quickly revise in terms of occurrence? What are you things you want to check? First, you will ensure that revenue is not
Inflated or overstated.
overstated. While you do that, you will have to check the 5 or 6 points. First, you will see whether any invoices recorded
Twice.
Twicely.
then whether any fictitious customers or the sales records are
Recorded.
Recorded.
recorded. Then check the shipments are done with the customer.
Customer.
Sorry, whether any shipments are done without the
Without customer.
Customer order.
and obtain the confirmation from the few
From
customers
few
to check
customers.
the genuineness of the
Sales
Sales
transaction.
transaction.
and then let's check few invoices with the relevant entries in the
Books of
book
accounts.
of account and whether any substantial
Substantial uncertainty.
regarding
It
the
is
collectibility.
Collectability.
Then you will check the sequence of the sales invoices. Then you will check the journal entry.
journal entries.
Unusual.
Calculate the ratio.
Calculate the sales return ratio to sales rate.
Sales. And
Compare
Compare it to the
previous years
year
and inquire with the
inquire
management.
the reason
reason
about
for
that.
increase or decrease.
And also check
Check
the
the sales
return,
return.
The
invoice,
sales
credit.
credit note, and stock register.
Yes. Then you will go to completeness. And now you know in completeness, always good to you that you perform the cutoff procedure to ensure that revenue are recognized in the current accounting period and sales are not tempered towards the period end. Because what client will do, client will raise the invoice, cutoff procedures arises usually when the company recognizes the revenue based on the date on which sales invoice is raised, but risk and reward is not transferred. Because if the term says that your client has has to deliver the material to the door of the customer, then risk and reward will be completed only when the material actually gets delivered to the
Customer.
client, your client's customer. Okay, now you verify the credit note issued during the year, because sometimes sales team can make the fictitious sales at the year end to meet the sales target, and then they cancel them out after the year end and generate the credit note. Then trace the shipping document to the sales journal and check a quantity appearing in a sales register with a stock record and statutory record like GST, and then you review the GST return and reconcile it with the sales amount in P&L. Guys, will you be able to
Yes.
handle this?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
When you do sales really well, automatically you will be able to handle purchase now. Because in case of purchase, there will be different set of document, there will be some different set of controls. But what will happen here, the quantity is moving from your factory to your your client factory to their customer. Now there you will be receiving the material. Again, the places it is going to, so you will have to see the accounts, you will have to see the GST records, you will have to see the stock register, you will have to see the purchase order that your client raised, then you will have to see the purchase invoices that the supplier has raised, right? And then the payment your client made to that supplier. So just the cycle will get reversed a little bit, and then but still you will be able to manage this. Now let's talk about the measurement. What do you do to measure the amount of sales in sales amount? How do you measure the sales amount? What exactly are you going to verify here? Or what are your concerns when it comes to the measurement?
Price of the product.
Overstep.
Price of the product, discount calculation.
Calculate.
Yes. Then suppose if there is a sales in foreign currency, like your client is exporting goods. So then will they raise INR invoices to their customer outside India?
No.
No, ma'am.
At the
Obviously
spot
not,
rate.
right? So they will have to, you will need to see, well, what is the exchange rate they have covered. Now, whether that exchange is right or not, for which AFRF you are going to use now?
Complies
AS11.
AS11.
AS11, because AS11 tells you for the balance sheet item what exchange rate needs to be taken, for the P&L item what exchange rate needs to be taken at in what from what and from what source and all, right? Does it tell you? So you will comply with all of that, right? Then
The related party
oh yeah,
transactions.
related party sales is also there. So for example, whether it is arm's length transaction, not an arm's length transaction, and review the collectability. For example, they raised an invoice to the related party. Now there is uncertainty that related party makes a payment for that, right? Remember, I was telling this when Riddhi has asked me the question that you will have to trace all the events in the transaction. You guys remember this particular.
Yes.
Now, in case of your measurement, this is the first point you have, right? Did they explain there that take a few sample sales
Yes.
transaction and then you have to trace all the underlying records?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So not necessarily they have to put that into measurement only. They can put that everywhere, like, underlying record. For if you just takes few samples and check everything end to end, O2C, order to cash process. Okay. So before you do the measurement, like first trace few transactions from inception to completion. That is order to cash process. Then quickly you write example. Example, take few sales transaction, check from receipt of customer order to payment of receivables balances. Then verify all underlying records to ensure if it is properly recorded at every stage. Verify such transactions are measured accurately, taking into account incentives or discounts, if any. Now you tell me, will you be able to perform this procedure, this particular, like, no, this entire procedure from here to here for the 100% of the population?
No, ma'am.
And that is why you said whenever there is a large volume of data, large volume of transaction, you are going to apply procedures for items which are less than the 100% of the population. And that is where you need to test first the controls first. And after that, you will have to decide what is your sample size. And then you take out those samples and perform these procedures into that. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
यदि export sales है तो, if there are export sales, ensure invoices are adjusted at exchange rate and method given in AS11. Actually, you should write AFRF because India's is also applicable now. And then in bracket, you will write AS11. So always have the habit of writing the AFRF first.
Ma'am, in
Yes.
audit, like the study mat of ICI, only they wrote AS11 directly.
They wrote AS reference, kya?
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
they directly wrote AS11.
But you change that habit now. So they will not mark it wrong, but you write AFRF and always write the AS11 in the bracket. Like for example, wherever you apply any accounting standard.
Okay.
But suppose they ask you a question related to a particular, just say for example, in audit paper, they give, but every time they will give 4 marks question coming from the accounting standard. So then you
Yeah.
write as per
Yeah.
then you write as per whatever standard. Yes? Everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Zehra, all cool? Shoaib? No. Do you have AS7 in your syllabus?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Revenue recognition.
What is the name of AS7?
Revenue recognition. Oh, sorry, that is 9.
Construction.
What is the name, full name of the standard?
Construction से related.
अरे but
um,
क्या उसका construction contracts or what do they call? Revenue recognition or construction contract or construction
Construction contract.
construction
Construction
contract.
contract.
Construction contract.
Revenue
You remember
recognition
that,
is
right?
AS9.
So for example, your client is in construction.
Construction.
Will they record the entire revenue in the first year itself?
No.
Completion.
Stage of completion.
Stage of completion. So do you need to understand the point of sales?
Yeah.
Will
Yes.
be higher and
So auditor For you to understand whether the measurement is correct, auditor must understand client's operation and related AFRF for revenue recognition. Example, point of sale versus percentage completion. Then last you will compare rate of sales affected with related party and rate of sales to unrelated party to verify if there is significant differences. Also, in case of related party, verify one, authorization of transaction, and second,
Review the collectability.
reasonableness and
Arm's length.
that is arm's length. Guys, will you be able to manage with these 4 points in the exam clearly? Exactly, measurement में points are different than occurrence and completeness.
Ma'am, they'll only ask one assertion, no?
Yeah. Either they will ask one assertion or they will ask general procedure. For same item, they will not ask 2 questions. But at one time, you will have to do all. Have you all completed this last one? Okay.
Just 1 minute.
Yes, completed.
तीस में की पॉइंट लर्न कर लें अंदर का थोड़ा अपने आप बना के लिए चलेगा ना
Yes. So just remember, see, the ICI is not bothered when you are explaining things on your own, where the things are like process oriented. Like for example, you have to check whether the transaction with a related party. So आप लिखो कि compare the rate of sales with the related party or compare the transaction with the related party. And उसके अंदर rate का point होना चाहिए authorization, reasonableness or price arm's length. How in whatever language you write now, they will give marks only. So this is that chapter where you can make up points, but it has to be related to that relevant assertion. You cannot mix match the assertion. Trust me on that part, because ICI, like right away, they will cut your question and not give you marks if you are mixing up the assertion. But if you're writing that assertion only now, whatever based on your knowledge you have, they will give you marks.
Done now.
Everyone? Manvi? Completed? Manvi is not in the call? I think she is. Which one? Which point, Zara? First one, क्या? अच्छा, point 1. Okay. Done. Okay. Now let's talk about the disclosure, general disclosure. Schedule 3 disclosure of sales. Depends if you are doing the audit of finance company other than finance company. If you are doing the audit of other than finance company, you will have revenue from one, sale of product, then sale of services, then third, other operating revenues. Now this treatment of less excise duty, we don't do it now. This is our representation, if it is there in your books. So this is from revenue from operations. You have this part, and then below that, then there comes the other income. In that other income we will handle when we will do the audit of other incomes. Here we will not write it. Now, in this case, if you have done transaction with related party, separate disclosure is required in notes to accounts. Discounts needs to be disclosed separately. Then in case of revenue, in case of, sorry, finance company, revenue from operations will include interest, a second, other financial services. Mayank, are you here?
No, ma'am. आज उसने मना किया था वो. He will do self study of
अच्छा,
these
he
chapters.
said क्या? इसने मैसेज किया क्या?
Yes, sir.
Okay, done.
मैम वो फाइनेंस कंपनी में रेवेन्यू फ्रॉम ऑपरेशंस फिर इंटरेस्ट लिखा है क्या?
Yes, interest and then other
Okay.
financials.
डन मैम.
मैम अदर फॉर्म कंपनी में लास्ट फॉर्म क्या लिखा है?
Which one? Other than finance
Last.
company में last one, discount needs to be disclosed separately. Now, before we go to the next point, can you quickly review what you have studied so far? Just go through it, whatever you have studied, guys. Whenever you guys are ready, just let me know.
मैम,
Yes.
अदर देन फाइनेंस कंपनी में जो ट्रांजैक्शन विद क्या है वो रिलेटेड पार्टी?
Transaction with other than
नो नो मैम, कैन यू
transaction with related party.
रिलेटेड पार्टी है ना? हाँ ठीक, बिकॉज इन द मॉड्यूल पॉइंट ही नहीं दिख रहा है इसलिए।
That point was not there for the क्या related party.
तो ठीक है, एक्स्ट्रा लिखेंगे तो मतलब मार्क्स तो नहीं रहेंगे।
हाँ, you will not lose on the marks. Rather, it is necessary only. Actually, they should be giving that, but as part of sales नहीं दिया है. But अगर because related party करके उन्होंने कुछ item ऐसा separately लिखा भी नहीं है. But every time you do any audit, like you do a balance sheet items, you do the audit of real life में when you do the audit of income statement also, you will always like your boss will only say, Riddhi, take out all the related party transactions separately. Because what will happen, you will so you know the AS18 is applicable to client, and what does AS18 says that every client, like the companies needs to disclose their related parties transactions and their relationship. Now company might have done that already in the notes to account. You will need to verify whether the representation done by the company is correct or not. So आपको निकालना ही पड़ेगा audit के time पे all those points. Yes.
Yes.
Guys, can we go ahead? Now, there are two special cases for sales, right? But we can't study the both the points together. So general procedure you will have to keep in mind today. You will revise in the night also, go through that chapter 5 chapter 5 items of sales of product and services, again revise it, and then tomorrow when we meet we'll do the special 2 points, right? Otherwise you will jump, like mix all the points in your head, and in exam you will not produce it well. So I always have that concern, because you will not be able to remember all the points of the same concept together. So let's give a challenge to our mind that after the sale of product and service, can we try to remember the employee benefit expense? Now, do you guys know when the employee benefit was asked in the exam? Was it asked in September? Anyone? Okay, no problem. Can you tell me what are the, when you say employee or staff, what are the process that are going to be related to employee and staff in a company? Priya, Pooja, are you guys here?
Can you repeat the question?
No, my question was can you tell me what are the employee related processes that you will be concerned with in understanding? Like first, hiring of the employee.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then the like appropriate
और
wage.
compensation कैसे
Sorry.
मतलब compensation का salary structure.
Yes. So hiring से related uska, you will see the appointment letter and everything, in which all the terms of his appointment, roles and responsibilities, salary related requirements are there. Okay, then also please make sure that you understand how the attendance recording process goes into the company. because employees are getting salary on for the days they have worked, right? So there is a system of attendance. Even in your office, they will record your attendance. Every month, every week, they will ask you to fill the timesheet. Some firms have a filling of timesheet on a daily basis requirement. Some maintain that weekly requirement. Some maintain that monthly requirement. But they will ask you to fill your timesheet. And like every day, whatever you did, you will have to write in your timesheets over there. Then hiring attendance. After that, what will you have? Guys?
Ma'am, for the period they are hired.
Sorry, for the payroll?
For the period they are hired.
For the period they are hired. So that is all part of the, like, that is all part of their roles only. Now, if there is a retirement of an employee, if there is a resignation of the employee, or what if they have only done the layoff or retrenchment and they ask the client to leave, right? And so basically, I'll tell you what is this process called: hire to retire. Remember, sales process was O2C. Then in case of employee benefit expenses or the salary payroll audit, you will have to perform the process for hire to retire, entire the entire process of it, right? And this employee deduction, okay, then with this will become part of your salary audit only. So whenever you go to the client place, first you understand, you sit with the HR people over there, right? And ask the HR manager to explain you how does the company's hire to retire process work. During this entire process, how many people get involved for approvals? Who decides the terms of the person's, like, what is the roles and responsibility? Who decide their terms? Who approves their terms? वो person कितने time के लिए है? Like, is there a contractual basis person or is there a full-time employment person? Then what are their salaries? Not just the salary will not be like one amount like 24 lakhs per annum. There has to be a breakout of the salary that you will receive. Then there will be leaves allotted to that person. You will have to keep the record of all of these things when you are understanding hire to retire process. So you will make your risk control metrics, that you call it as hire to retire RCM, risk control metrics. And then you will understand, okay, during the process, in what point you found there are certain risk of material misstatement. Then if there is a risk of material misstatement, whether entity has relevant control in place. Once you understand that yes, there are controls in place, then you will go do the test of controls, and along with that, you will do the substantive audit procedure, test of details, and analytical procedure. Did you understand how the flow will work, everyone over here? Guys, are you all not here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. Chalo. So let's start with first understanding the client. Obtain understanding of hire to retire process, under which you will do one. Understand the controls designed and implemented by entity throughout the process of hiring an employee to his or her retirement. B. Test controls around employee benefit payment process to determine how effective they are. Common internal controls are one, maintenance of attendance record, maintenance of employee master. In the regular class, do you guys remember that I have told you that company maintains certain masters such as item master? Vivek, Priyanka, Johi, did you guys, right?
Yes,
Basically there, employee master, then there are
Yes, ma'am.
customer master, then there is vendor master, and then there is employee master, right? This is the master data your client will maintain in their software, ERP software. For each of the item they sell, they produce, they manufacture, they buy, they will have its rate and the suppliers listed to each item. So sometimes you say, na, ki how do we check if it is a genuine supplier, genuine customer? Because entity, whenever they approve a customer or whenever they approve a supplier, they will have to feed all that information into the ERP system, computer system, information system they are maintaining. What is the terms of agreement with those vendors or suppliers or the employee, everything gets feeded over there. So you are like, okay, how do we check the controls? You don't always have to go to the document. Once you get all the information from the document, you check whether at each point of time, if their salary is processed, whether it is as per the salary amount faded or the basic amount faded or the whatever allowances are feeded into that employee master. Yes. So you get all those details from there. So along with that is why you have to check the maintenance of employee master. Then third, you will check the authorization of monthly salary or payroll processing. So salary process is also called as payroll process in a company, in an entity.
In the A point, implemented by entity, what is there after that?
Throughout the process.
Throughout. Okay.
Then authorization of monthly salary and payroll disbursement. So processing is one thing. Payment is a different process because for payment of these salaries, the check or the RTGS advice will go to the bank and then bank will process the salary of that respective amount to thousands of the employees separately. So it is not like the company will sit and make the payments direct. Like the company is not making the salary payment. It is their bank who is going to make that payment. Yes. The 4 point says authorization of monthly salary and payroll disbursement. Are you guys able to see the points? Riddhi, you are at what point?
Ma'am, B only, but what is the last pink thing you've written?
IC, common internal control.
Common. Yeah, common.
Then fifth, you have to understand the computation of deductions. Such as taxes, income taxes, gratuity, leave encashment. No, yeah, leave encashment is not deducted from my salary.
PF, ESI.
PF, ESI deduction. Yes. Then sixth, computation of leave encashment and bonus. So, like for example, in a year, I have been given like some 42 leaves. I utilized only 20 leaves. 22 leaves are still pending. So company has a policy in the year end, they will give me the cash for the days that I have not taken leave, right? So this is a policy of leave encashment. Now, and Indians have that mentality. They want to have money rather than leaves. Your generation is different, right? You are Gen Zs, and also you will utilize more than the leaves given to you in a company. So in our era, we used to save those leaves so we used to get, like, I'm a traveler. I love traveling, so I don't used to do that, but I know a lot of my friends and colleagues who would do that. Never take a leave and then anyway. So then this is about, you test the controls regarding this, where you check the process are for the internal controls around the maintenance of your attendance record, employee master, authorization of the salary processing, then authorization of the disbursement, then computation of deduction like taxes, gratuity, PF, ESI, then the computation of leave encashment and bonus. Now last point into this is, see, select
Can you just once repeat the deductions?
deductions. Now deductions are taxes, gratuity, provident fund,
Yeah.
employee state insurance. Then
Okay.
select random sample and examine appointment letters. So this time you select employees rather than selecting the transaction, because these are the X number of employees who were there like throughout the period, or who would have joined in the beginning, or some of them might have left in the beginning. So you select the employees rather than the transaction. In sales and purchases, you don't select the customer, you select the transaction, sales transaction, right? Here you will select the employees, and then you check their appointment letter, then you check their appraisal letter. Whenever there is a annual appraisals, evaluation of their performance, and they give the hike and everything, they are called the appraisal letters. Then you will check their attendance record. Then you will check the related HR policies, related data in employee master. So according to the policies, according to their employee master, whether they have made the payment to that particular employee or not, right? Then can you do some analytical procedures? Can you
Yes,
do
ma'am.
perform some analytical procedure based on the salary data? Now you have the 12-month salary data for different level of functional employees that are there in your client place. You see the average salary paid to your client. Then you go to Google, and from some better sources, you try to find out what is the average salary paid to that particular level grade in the industry. If you want to see that whether there is a reasonableness in the salary paid by your client, then you will also already need to compare it with the industry data that is available on Google, right? No, but no company shares their employees exact salary, but there are some data, like people, like for example, there is a website called as
Reddit.
sorry,
Reddit. There is
Reddit.
a website.
Reddit नहीं, Reddit पे तो है, but उसके अलावा there is a good I think some good something, I'm forgetting, right? I have been out of the job market from last 1 year, so I forgot that website, but um, so there are some good sources where you can get a good analytics, like if you see the salary of some IT engineers, so like I know some developers in the IT field who has experience of 5 to 6 years in a particular project work, like based on what they develop, then this is the average salary they get in India, they get in Japan, they get in US, this kind of analysis.
Glassdoor,
Sorry,
Glassdoor.
I think Glassdoor is there. Yeah, Glassdoor is there.
Yes, हम लास्ट डोर ही है मैंने भी अभी सर्च किया.
Yeah, correct. Then last you will perform okay, so we didn't write this point. Last, perform analytical procedures that consist of monthly expense reasonability, comparison with previous year, compare with industry trend. Now, if they ask you a general procedure related to employee benefits, will you be able to write these 3-4 points, guys? Everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
But this is not it, because they have given you this, so they have included some of the procedure as part of overall understanding only. But then they have also given you a separate audit procedure for the employee benefit expense. You can mix and match, you can write 6, 7, 8 points, whatever you can remember in the exam hall. It will not be wrong. You will get the full marks over there. But just don't forget, always start your answer with understanding the controls. Understanding the controls first. So we normally, what happen, you remember about these appointment letters are there, invoices are there, so you will end up talking about the test of details and analytical procedure. I know, but don't forget test of control. That is why I'm highlighting first understanding the control, testing the control. It will become part of your every process, like O2C, O2C for order to cash, sales process, hire to retire for your HR. Then purchases ke liye it is P2P. So purchase to pay. You purchase, you raise the purchase order, purchase requisition note. Till then, you pay to its supplier. It's a full process. So P2P it is called. Okay. Can we quickly see what are the disclosure requirements? Now this is something you know, because you must be making the P&L statement and the balance sheet accounts and their notes to accounts, right? So thoda to
Yes.
idea hoga ki how do you give what are the level of details you give for the employee benefit or the salary cost? Disclosure requirement of Schedule 3. Classification as 1. Salary and wages. 2. Contribution to provident or other funds. Then 3. Expenses on employee stock option. And last, staff welfare expenses. So you separate the salary cost, you from the PF statutory funds, then you separate it from the ESOPs, and last is the any other staff welfare expense that you will store it separately.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now you have to perform some specific audit procedure. 1. Obtain a list of employees
Ma'am, this is related to which assertion, like occurrence?
So you combine all the procedures for employee benefit expenses. You don't check existence, their measurement, completeness separately. Combine all the procedures and then learn these 7-8 points together, everyone. I'll tell there is a reason why I say this for every expenses. So in case of sales and purchases, you do it separately, that is fine. But in case of expenses, we don't go for checking the completeness, occurrence, measurement separately. We check everything in a single process itself. That is S2R process that we do, right? Now, obtain a list of employees. You tell this to your client that whenever they give you the list of employees, ask them to give you with along with the split between new hires during the year which you are auditing, then leavers, the people who left, and continuing employees, the employees who were there on 1st of April till 31st of March, the period that you are auditing, right? Now, in case of new hires, select few cases. So if there are only two people who were hired during the year, 5 people who were hired during the year, then you don't select sample out of it. Then you apply your brain that I can to check the documents for all these 5 employees. But suppose during the year they have hired some 1,000 employees, or suppose 250 employees. You don't need to check 100% of the employees. Then you can select few cases on random basis and obtain. What will you check in case of this?
Appointment letters.
First, appointment letter, right?
Salary of the first month and the subsequent months was processed as a pay.
Then salary of first month, subsequent months. As per agreed terms. What about the people who left?
Full and final
Full and
computation.
final settlements, right? So third is the levers. Select a few samples on random basis. Obtain FNF settlement, which is full and final settlement. You can write FNF in the exam, that is not a problem. Because industry mein it is called as FNF settlement only. Then 3.2,
Verify whether all the dues,
including the
post-retirement benefits like gratuity, leave encashment have been paid.
verify all dues are paid, such as
Gratuity, leave encashment,
Bonus.
bonuses, pending bonuses, if any, leave encashment. And verify whether acknowledgement from employee for final settlement is received. Always ensure, because that employee can what if the employee feels that his amount is not paid in full, then he will go to court. He can file a case against you, against your client, that they have not paid the full and final settlement, and then there will be liability on your client's head. So always make sure, verify this, whether they have given in the acknowledgement in the mail that all the finance settlement has been received.
Then, ma'am.
Done, guys? Can I do the last point?
Yes,
Four.
ma'am.
Perform analytical procedures. Now here you see the game. (4.1) average salary per employee per month. PF, ESI is the second one. Third, overall employee benefit expense. So perform this analytical procedure. First, you calculate the average salary per employee per month, that too for the disaggregated data. So you have to do it for the function, for particular functions or grade. Don't do it for the entire. So average salary per employee per month in that, like, so basically per employee you have to do. So you disaggregation, you are doing it at the employee basis. So don't, so for function, so take out all the employees, all the functions, all the grades, and do it average salary per employee per month, and see if there is sudden spike that you see in the average salary. Why? Because if it is, so average salary per employee per month came, there is a monthly salary written in their appointment letter. Suddenly you see there is a sudden hike in that average salary in the month of November. Then you realize there is a Diwali bonus. Yes, there can be. So you will have
Yes,
to
ma'am.
find the reasonability, the reason for sudden hike, unless and until. Sometimes the monthly appraisal, sorry, annual appraisal happen in the month of March, but company takes at least 2 months to pay off that amount. So suddenly you see the salary hike in the month of June. Yes, so you will have to see why there is a hike. Now here, obtain salary register for complete year, then compute average salary per employee per month, and compare it with salary in appointment letter or appraisal letter, and compare it with previous months to see fluctuations, if any. Fluctuations, if any. The last word is fluctuations, if any. Now, PF ESI, in case PF or ESI is applicable to entity. Why we are saying that PF is applicable to the entity? Not every entity has to deduct PF. Do you know the requirement when the entity should deduct PF? There is a minimum employee requirement. If you don't have that minimum employee, for example, now think about my business. Now I only have me and two of my team members, one who handles my website and one who handles with the data or something. Now with these three employees, should I deduct PF for the amount that I'm paying to them? No. So there is a requirement. Your goal is whenever you are free, you are having food, and if you have mobile in your hand, find out the minimum number of employees for the PF deduction. Yes, not now. I don't want to know the answer now. Okay, so in case the PF and ESI is applicable to the entity, determine reasonable amount by applying rate to the basic salary and compare it with amount in books of account and analyze the reason. So you know that PF is not supposed to be deducted on the 100% of the salary. It is only to be deducted on the basic salary. So you know that because you have studied the income tax, so you know there is a basic salary and then there are allowances over it. So only on the amount of basic salary, PF is getting deducted. So that is why you find out the rate for the provident fund, then you multiply that with the basic salary. You will arrive at some amount. Now you compare what is the PF amount for all the employees you do, then you make a sum of it. Then you compare it with the PF that they have booked for that month in the books of account. If there is a difference, then check why there is a difference. And last, you will perform overall reasonable analysis for employee benefit expense booked in during the year. And last, fifth, verify whether provisions are made in books of account for all employee benefit.
Ma'am,
Yes,
what is the word during the year के पहले?
booked.
Oh,
Expense booked during the year. And last, verify whether provisions are made in books of accounts for all the employee benefit expenses. Now, this is all you need for your exams. Juhi, you know if this question was asked in a recent past exam?
नहीं मैम
Nahi, na? They have not, right? Did we complete the depreciation yesterday
yes.
entirely? Do you remember what you have studied
Yes,
in
ma'am.
depreciation? Koi nahi, we will do the recalling. First, you complete these notes. All the income items we will recall tomorrow. Harsiddhi is dancing.
Nothing.
What happened? Your siblings?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. My sister, she's studying in the background. She's making noise.
Acha, okay.
Ma'am, in the second point, determine reasonable amount by, what is the word after that?
Second 4.2 you say, kya? Yes.
Second ka, like 4.2, yes.
4.3. Overall employee benefit expense
4.2. 4.2.
4.2. Okay, in case of PFESI in case it is applicable to entity, determine the reasonable amount by applying the rate to the base
Applying rate.
salary and compare it with the amount recorded in books of accounts.
Okay, and ma'am, in 4.1, the last line, can you repeat on for me?
Compare it with the salary in appointment letter or appraisal letter and compare it with the previous months to see fluctuations, if any.
Okay, ma'am, thank you.
How did my regular class of student manage with my handwriting for so many months? I don't know. But this is the problem my CA final students also faces. Like I write, as for me, I write very fast. And my writing is also not good.
मैम लास्ट 3 अटेम्प्ट से तो ये पीपी और इंटेंजिबल एसेट के पीछे पड़े हैं मतलब
Assets
PP
only
आया
asking, yeah, okay. So they are not targeting the P&L items, na? Abhi recent exams mein they did not target.
मैम ये अटेम्प्ट
No,
में
ma'am.
पूछेंगे।
काश
काश नहीं मैम, ऐसे ही होता है, they don't follow a pattern. तो
अच्छा।
अचानक से जो नहीं आने वाला वही पढ़ो, वो आएगा।
Correct. So we will make sure at least we are studying everything then. Chapter 5 say, and you are spending so much time writing the answers, and chapter 5 people don't even do it properly. They don't even read it properly and you're writing it. So make sure you're getting full marks for this chapter. And I tell you, this is most easy one. Na? Every knowledge of audit you had already taken before, and now you are applying all that knowledge to actually practically do the item audit of certain items. So be happy that you will be able to manage these questions. It just, you might need one last revision in 1.5 days. No, why I will be there sitting in front of you revising the whole points again. You come and come after your cost paper. We will do the revision throughout the night. Then you go like early morning and like whenever you feel like sleeping, you go and sleep. Then next day you come and revise again. But I will do that revision with all of you, right? Because if you don't feel like studying, if you feel like studying on your own, nothing like it. But if you don't feel like studying on your own, we will come, study, recall the points, everything. Now, let's recall what you have studied in depreciation and amortization. There were 8 attributes that you had to verify. Generally, you will first verify these 8 attributes. First one was you have to obtain the understanding of
Policy,
related to
depreciation,
Depreciation
and
and amortization.
everyone. Please unmute yourself.
Yes.
Yes. So it's okay. Let the noise come, but at least you are studying that. First of all, you will understand the policy related to depreciation and amortization at the client place. Then you will see whether that policy is as per
Relevant provisions of the company.
Relevant provision of Companies Act.
the company, then it is act. Then otherwise it is the whether it doesn't even match with the accounting standard, right?
Yes.
Yes. Then the policy is applied
Consistently.
Consistently year on year.
on year basis.
Adequate disclosures.
adequate disclosure is given, right? And depreciation is always calculated after making adjustment for
Adjustment to
Residual value.
Residual value from the cost of asset.
correct. Then depreciations and amortization with the charged are
valid,
valid charge. Then depreciation and amortization are calculated.
accurately
Accurately
calculated
calculate and recorded.
It's the valid charge accurately recorded. Whatever you can write, that is okay. So there are 8 points. You have to write 5 to 6 points maximum. And valid and accurate recorded, you check at 1 only. Why? I don't know why they create extra points. So valid, it is valid. Second, it is accurate and recorded. They could have written the whole thing in 1 point only. So first determine which is for the valid asset. The asset, if the asset is on the company's name, then only they are like, if the entity is owning right over that asset, then only you will charge the depreciation. So it has to be a valid charge. Then the calculation needs to be accurate and recorded. Then last, all the depreciation amount are recorded in correct
Appropriate period.
appropriate
and then they have done the depreciation for each and every
item
Of PPA.
components. It is called as component only. Yes. So you will call it as component of PP are to be depreciated separately. Now you have certain procedures.
Yes.
So first
Yes,
you will understand entities, process entity. How do you charge depreciation and amortization?
Ensure depreciation is charged on.
Yes.
Then you will obtain
FAR.
Fixed asset
Fixed asset
register.
register
Register maintained by the entity.
To check
maintained by the entity.
to check
Nature of assets.
nature of assets from the FAR, and also you will
Physically verify the assets,
physically
especially
verify
the
the asset,
material value.
especially for the material value. You have to go and physically verify. You can't just rely on the entity. Then you will select certain samples of assets and verify the
Rate of
Rate of
depreciation.
Rate of
depreciation
depreciation.
and
Rate of
calculation.
depreciation and depreciation calculation.
calculation. Then you will verify the depreciation is charged from the date
Ready to
Rate
use.
of
Ready
From
to
it is
use.
ready
Ready
to
to
use.
use.
And not when
when
it
it
is
is
put
Not
to
put
use.
to
to
use.
use.
and then you will verify whether the depreciation is calculated on the, if there is a revaluation of asset, then depreciation is
Properly
calculated on the
accounted.
Revalue.
Revalued amount.
Revalued
and not
amount.
on the
Revalue.
original amount,
Properly
and
account
whether
from
the depreciation is
revaluation
properly
reserve.
adjusted through the revaluation reserve.
Revaluation reserve.
Perform analytical procedure as per 520 on depreciation and amortization to verify what?
Reasonableness
Reasonableness of the
and
depreciation.
amortization charge.
Remember this word whenever you want to write something about analytical procedure and you are not able to understand what do I have to write. Like for example, you are in an exam situation and suddenly you are like, yeah, this is chapter 5 item, I can put some analytical procedure. So whatever item is there, you can always put two sentences. One, the reasonableness of that amount 100% of the time, and second, compare that amount with the previous year and with the industry figure.
Cheat
Yes.
code.
Common
Correct?
point.
Got it, this one, always remember that. Then ensure that the depreciation and amortization has been charged as per the useful life of the
Life.
So point 3, point 7, you have to remember together. At one point of time, you are checking the rate, then life, then the depreciation calculation. Point 3, point 7 are together actually. I should have written it together anyway.
Ma'am, you can just cut and paste and वो सब तो आप करें.
I can actually. Chalo.
Ma'am, last time you wrote, you were like, no, put this point आगे.
हाँ.
You just cut it and नीचे paste कर दिया. And we were like, how do we do that?
Now let's do the audit of other expenses. So let's just quickly revise. I am revising now so that you feel thoda refreshed, and then we go to other items. We have to do some more writing practice today. So audit of other expenses, what are the 6 general attributes? First, you will see whether expense.
Pertain to current
Pertain to
period.
current period under audit.
Guys, please unmute yourself. Priya, Pooja, everyone. Please unmute Priyanka. You know, it's okay. Let the noise come. You are recalling it. It is your time, right? So first, make sure that other expenses pertaining to the current period.
Current period.
Under audit. Current
Then
period.
you will see whether their classification is under
Revenue nature.
Under
correct
Current
correct
head.
head.
listen to
Correct
question,
head.
listen to question, right? And whether the expense
Expense has been approved by
Approved by
authorized
authorized
person.
authorized person as per the authorization matrix, and whether the expense falls in
Expense
Within the nature of
The
Nature
nature
of
of business,
business
not
and not
personal.
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 whether the expense is supported by
by
Bills,
bills,
vouchers,
vouchers,
tickets,
vouchers.
etc.
vouchers,
whether expense
Rel-
qualifies to be
Classified
the
as revenue.
audit,
Revenue
Revenue
expenditure.
expenditure or
Capital.
and not capital.
capital expenditure
just close your
expenditure.
eyes and recall all 6 points again, everyone.
Yes.
Don't look into your books, just close your eyes and try to recall all the 6 points.
Whether expenditure
Whether
of the current
expenses pertain
period, whether the expenditure is of revenue nature and not capital. Whether the expenditure is not
Done all 6? You are able to unmute yourself, can you just check?
Yes,
Yes.
You are. Okay, chalo. Now you will do the audit procedures for rent. So for every of these procedure, you have to first obtain with the client a 12 months schedule.
Schedule.
So suppose if
Schedule.
the rent, so rent schedule will come with along with, you will ask your client to give you what?
Rent
Rent
agreement.
And then you will ensure all the 12 months rent is
Recorded.
Recorded.
recorded. Then you will check whether the
Rent
Escalation
amount
clause.
is as per
rent
agreement.
agreement is in the name of
Entity.
Company.
company. And when the rent pertains to the premises for where the business is running.
Running
Running.
And the last, if there is an escalation clause,
is
examine,
correctly accounted.
examine whether agreement contains the escalation clause.
Escalation.
If yes,
Verify the
has
rent
been
was
If the rent
required
has
to be
been
recorded on
adjusted
baseline basis
renewed,
period.
as
for that clause. Yes, everyone. Now, what if it is power and fuel? Then you will obtain month-wise
Month-wise
Schedule.
Summary.
along with
Along
the
with power bills.
bills.
along with the bills. Examine whether all the 12 months
12
expenses
months have
are
been recorded.
Recorded.
then you will
Compile
A
a
month-wide summary of profit
Rate and check
month
arithmetic accuracy of expenses.
the accuracy and
of the
arithmetic
the arithmetically accuracy of bills.
if it is insurance expenses, then you will obtain
summary of
All
insurance
insurance
policies
policies
along with
all
their
the insurance
validity.
policy along with their,
along with their validity.
and then verify the expenses are properly classified into
prepaid.
Prepaid
Expenses
the
for
depending number of
the
days.
period depending on the number of days.
Number of days.
beautiful. If it is legal expense, then your schedule will be
obtained
Month-wise and consultant-wise.
consultant wise.
That's why it's
And if it is a case of
return
Monthly retailership
monthly
agreement.
verify
Verify
whether
whether
expenses
12 months
for all
fees is
12 months
recorded.
been recorded
you have
correctly.
to remember about retainership only in case of the legal
Yeah.
case, that if there is a consultant on retainer, whether 12 months fees is recorded. And for
Recorded.
non-recurring expense,
Non-recurring expense,
select
select
a
a
sample and
sample
voucher.
Select
Okay,
6 attributes.
yes. Then if there is a travel and repair and maintenance expenses, then there you will check what? First you will select the
select a
Repair-
sample
repair
and
Select
voucher.
sample and
the
voucher
assertions.
attributes.
Then you will whenever possible, you can make a summary of such expenses, and on the basis of which you will perform the analytical procedure
Analytical
to
process and compare
the
the
reasonableness of those.
Comparison.
Right? And then you will calculate other expenses per unit of production
Per
and
unit of
compare
production.
it with the previous year or with the
Industry trend.
Present industry trend.
now in the income statement part, we are only left with now purchases and other incomes, right? And then special sales cases. Can we do it now, guys? Do you have the energy? The
Yes,
setup was
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
easy, no, because we are doing the income statement item and you were able to relate to the points, everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want 5 minutes break?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Let's take 5 minutes break and then we'll start. So we'll meet at 1:10, right? Try to come by 17, 18 p.m. guys. Guys, are you all back?
Yes.
Time now?
Yes, ma'am.
Some people left to have their food. You are like, madam, भूखे प्यासे रख के क्यों पढ़ा रहे हो? कुछ नहीं हो सकता. These are some difficult times before the examination, where you have to take some difficult measures in life. I was so hungry in last night live streaming. I was eating at 2 o'clock in the morning. Chalo. Now, please understand, before you jump into purchase process, let me make you understand certain things, everyone. There is so many permutation combination that is available. We will take a simple example so that you understand what document is generated by who and why. Are you all focusing on the screen, everyone? Guys, you just have to focus on the screen. I don't want any answers from you. I will explain what I have to explain. I just want you to focus on the screen. This is your client. This is your client's office. This is their office, right? This is their client's office gate. Please understand that I am not very good with drawing. So all the materials are stacked here in different racks and different levels. If you see a factory, if you have ever seen a factory, you will imagine how things look over here, right? So the material comes or goes from this gate. Now, please understand, whenever there is a purchase process, you have to understand there is whenever you want to purchase something, you need to first understand, do you need it? Is there any requirement of that material, right? So, for example, production department will say, we do not have item A in the, we need item A for production. Production guy will call to warehouse guy. Production guy.
मैम
Yes.
परचेस स्टार्ट किया है क्या?
Yes.
Okay.
Just started purchase, right? This is a factory. This is production department. This is purchase department. This is management team. This is accounts department, and this one is warehouse. Are you guys understanding? Production, purchase, management, accounts department. You don't have to write anything. You just listen to me. I will give you time to write. Please understand what documents get generated where. This is warehouse. This is the gate of the factory. Material comes from the gate directly to the warehouse, and then it goes from warehouse to the customers, wherever the transporter takes that material. Now, production guy needs item A. He will call up the warehouse and tell warehouse, do you have item A? Warehouse person will say, no, I don't have item A in the stock. He will check his stock in the warehouse and in the rack physically. He cannot find that item A in the rack, and also in the system record, also inventory record, there is no item A. It is finished. Yes. Warehouse person will tell to this guy, I don't have item A in my stock. You will need to raise the PRN or MRN. What is the full form of PRN and MRN? Purchase requisition note, material requisition note. Can you please write this somewhere in your notes? PRN, MRN. Either you called it as purchase requisition note, material requisition note. So, for example, if they need a item for the production, they will call it as MRN. But suppose there is a stationery, there is a pen that is needed in the office, there is a printer needed as in the office. For those, they will raise the PRN. It is not a material. It is any other item that they want to purchase for, not for the production, for other purpose. They will raise a PRN over there. Right? That's all. Don't go too much in detail. That's all you need to know. So who raises the PRN, MRN? The department that needs the material. Don't say production. Like HR people may also need the laptop for the new employees. So whatever department needs the material, they will raise the PRN or MRN. Are we clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, beautiful. Now, this PRN will go to purchase department because the person who needs the material cannot buy the material directly from the supplier. He will send this PRN to purchase department. Now purchase department will understand whether this requirement is correct or not. He will just say, okay, you need this material. Have you confirmed with the warehouse guy? Warehouse guy is also confirmed. Okay. Now this is the requirement he has raised. Now purchase guy will prepare what? I'll tell you. So purchase guy will prepare a PO. What is PO? A purchase
order.
order.
Purchase order.
He will prepare a purchase order. Now, in purchase order, he will need the quantity. From where he will get the quantity to be what?
The
Department.
rest,
Quantity from the
Department.
respected department.
MRN that is just raised. Now, he doesn't need to call anyone. He can just look at the purchase requisition note because production department has given now how many quantity they need. So they will just read the PRN or MRN. They will get the quantity. From where they will get the rate. Two possibilities. If the item is a regular use material, so the rate, the supplier and the rate must be fixed. If it is a new requirement, the item A was never bought before, then he will get the quotations. You remember whenever you buy a material, you first get, like for example, if you have to get the civil work done for your house, you will get at least quotation for 2 to 3 engineers, civil people, civil engineers. Yes. So similarly, you will get the quotation or the rate will be there in the item master because they have already bought that material before. So he will get the quantity, he will get the rate. Now he will prepare this PO copy and can he just send it directly to the supplier? The answer is no, not directly. Why? Because somebody from the management team needs to approve these purchases. Otherwise, supplier can do fraud with the supplier can collude with the purchase guy and do the fraud na. कि भाई तू मेरे को इतना पीओ निकाल के दे साल भर में. अरे somebody has to approve in that management ना कि this is a correct purchase order or not. Do we actually need that material or not? So management guy's roles comes into the picture. Now management guy will approve this purchase copy. And once approved, this PO will be shared with supplier. Are we clear? How many documents have been raised so far? So far, सबसे first PRN or MRN is raised. And then it had gone to purchase department. Purchase department prepared the PO copy, send it to the management who has signed the PO. And once it is approved, then the purchase copy went to the supplier. Right? Now supplier will do whatever they have to do in their factory. They will get the material ready. And now this material will be sent to your client's factory. Whenever the material comes, it comes with the invoice. Yes. Now this invoice will have quantity. They have dispatched, supplier have dispatched, at what rate they have dispatched, and the value, including GST, etc. Yes. Supplier कैसे raise करेगा invoice? Supplier will raise the invoices based on the quantity, rate, value, GST, and all of that. Yes. Guys, are you with me till here? Yes. How many documents together? PRN, MRN, PO copy,
PO.
Invoice copy.
Invoice copy.
Now this material has come to the factory. Should you send this material directly to the production because the production guy are in hurry?
No.
Quality check.
There has to be quality check. There has to be GRN that needs to be prepared. Goods receipt note. So there are two things that are going to happen at the warehouse now. One, quality check. So there will be some quality engineer who will come and check the quality. And after that, he will tell it to the warehouse manager. Warehouse manager, you can take this item into system. So the warehouse manager will prepare goods receipt note, GRN, goods receipt note, that we have received these many quantities into our system.
Yes, ma'am.
Once this GRN is prepared, this now GRA is also system generated. Everything is system generated, right? Now this GRN will go where? Now now the goods receipt note is prepared. Where the item will go now?
Production department.
Yes. So now item A will be shared with the production department. Then they will produce the material and all of that. Their work is done. The warehouse will coordinate with production that I am sending this many material to your production. They have what is they call either through the trolleys or there is a machine, big machinery that is, yaar, I feel like going back to my job. Why do I forget that? You have seen that big machinery, that big vehicle sort of a thing that that they use in a factory to move the material from here and there.
Yes, ma'am.
What is it called? क्या बोलते हैं उसको?
Forklift.
Forklift. Yes, it's called forklift. So they will move the material. If it is a big material, they will take it. Now, where now you remember this material came with an invoice. So where do the invoice go now? This
Accounting
warehouse manager
department.
will send the invoice to accounts department. So now the accounts department will receive invoice. But invoice, can accounts department can make the accounting entry just on the basis of purchase entry, just basis on the invoice? No.
Checking.
We will need to check the quantity with what
Quality.
document? Verify the
MRN.
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 Purchase order.
no.
Quantity with the invoice.
No.
नहीं,
Invoice mein
GRN.
quantity is already there, na?
GRN.
GRN. How
GRN.
much quantity you have
Yes, yes.
received is what for you are going to make the payment. For example, you have bought certain items. So you have just called up your grocery guy and told कि भाई इतना इतना धनिया पुदीना ये मसाला देके जाना. What you call that guy, the material has reached to your factory now, to your house now. Then you will make the payment. So for example, you asked for 5 kgs of atta. He only sent 2.5 kg of atta. So you will make the payment for 2.5 kg of atta, not the 5 kg of atta that the PRN you have raised or the PO you have raised. Are you understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
Only the quantity. So he has to match the quantity with the GRN. How he will ensure that rate is correct over here? From where he will check the rate in the invoice? He has to check. Supplier can give any rate, na? But you have to, accounts guy need to make sure that he is making the payment in the right rate. From where he will check that rate?
Market.
No.
Invoice raised by the supplier.
No. See, accounts department के पास में invoice है. But he is not going to make the payment unless and until he is sure that the rate given in the supplier invoice is correct.
Purchase order.
Exactly. You remember the purchase order was prepared with the help of quantity and rate. So what,
Yes.
and then management approved that quantity and rate. So if the management has approved it, why do you have to go for the rate to, accounts guy will not go for the rate in the market? No. Are you understanding? The management has already approved. So rate will be confirmed on the basis of PO and the quantity will be confirmed on the basis of GRN. And that's how you confirm the invoice. Now, this whole process is called three-way matching. Are you understanding what happened with you? This entire process is called three-way matching, where the invoice is matched with the GRN and PO by the accounts department before making
Payment.
before making accounting entry. Purchase entry. And once the purchase entry is made, now the payment will be released based on the credit period. So you don't make the payment immediately all the time. In business, there is always a terminology of credit period. Do you know what credit period is, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So accordingly, like after 30 days, 60 days, whatever is the agreed time, accordingly, the treasury department will make the payment or account department will make the payment. Did you understand this process, everyone?
Yes.
Because it was needed, because otherwise it will be hard when you do the specific procedure. But can you first do the general procedure? Guys, can you tell me what is going to be the general procedure now? Now you have to write, everyone. What is the general procedure for purchase? First you will, guys,
Identify the controls.
exactly. You remember there is everyone was checking. Like for example, the warehouse, whenever the production department needed material, they didn't raise the PRN directly. They first check with the warehouse guy because this is a control. Then the warehouse guy confirmed to production guy, yes, you can go ahead and raise a MRN because we don't have this material. And this communication did not happen over a call. This communication happened over email. So there is a documented control over there. Then the PO guy checked the rate from the item master, quantity from the MRN, he raised the PO. Now the rate that is there in the item master is another control point. Now the PO has gone to the management team for approval. Now this approval by the management is another control point. Now the PO was sent to the supplier. Supplier prepared the materials, gave the invoice, and it came to the factory gate. Factory gate did not send the material directly to the warehouse. They first did the quality. There is the quality engineer who came and he did the quality check. This is again control point. Then then this warehouse manager checked the quantity received and accordingly he has done the GRN. It is again a control point. And after that, he has sent everything to accounts department. Accounts department did three-way matching. This is again control point, and then only this accounting entry was made. So you will have to, whatever process I have made you understand over here, you will have to understand this whole control point and the process at your client place. So understand P2P process and related control points in the entity. Then you will, once you have understood this control, now what will you do?
Test control.
Test the controls.
Controls to evaluate how effective
They are.
they are. Correct?
Yes,
The
sir.
same thing you had in the normal procedure in the sales also, right?
Yes, sir.
First point is understand P2P process and related control points in the entity. Then in the operating effectiveness, you test the controls to evaluate how the effective controls
they
are. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Now, I forgot one thing over here, guys. Actually, whenever you receive the material from anyone in the factory, there is a security guard who sits at the gate. And before that material goes to warehouse, the security guard will do a gate entry.
Gate entry.
And he will note from which trolley or which tempo or from which truck, from what lorry transport number that material has come into the factory. What was the supplier? He will make all that into the gate register. So this is another control point. Like nobody can send anything into the factory without the, security guard making the entry of it, right? Okay. So now you select certain samples. Now select samples on random basis and examine the transactions with related
PO.
PO,
GRN.
invoice, gate entry, register, and then they did not mention what?
Vendor reconciliation.
No, they are vendor reconciliation and the statement is the last. GRN is done. Okay. Yes. Now this is okay, but along with that, they also want you to obtain confirmation from vendor and check the balances and reconciliation if required. So if you find there is a differences in the balance, then you will ask the client to make the reconciliations, right? Reconciliation is not applicable in 100% of the cases. If there are difference, then there will be reconciliation. Now you can perform the analytical procedures.
Yes, sir.
So perform substantive analytical procedures like trend analysis, comparison with
previous year.
prior period.
Previous year.
Yes, year. And then you will perform a specific audit procedure that we will study now. So for now, specific audit procedure mein you will go to occurrence, completeness, measurement they didn't give now, okay. And analytical procedure. Yeah, here you have a separate analytical procedure.
Ma'am, what is written after the trend analysis?
Which one? An analytical procedure?
No,
Trend
yes,
analysis
yes.
and comparison with
Compare.
previous year. Now, under analytical procedure only, no, you have consumption analysis, stock composition analysis,
ratio,
ratios, and last is quantitative.
reconciliation.
Reconciliation.
Sometimes they may ask you to give explanation of what does this mean. Done? Guys, are you getting some comfort over purchase now?
Yes, ma'am.
Beautiful. Priyanka, can you confirm me? Did I do the purchase in the regular class also?
Yes, ma'am.
We did
Yes,
now.
ma'am, you did.
You guys not rewriting the whole thing?
लिख रहे हैं मैम, मेरे पास बुक नहीं थी तो बुक खाली है तो मैं वो लिख रही हूँ उसमें.
ठीक है, रिवाइज हो जाएगा ये इस बार. But can you guys can any one of you send me the this because I did not like the material of this some I think stock composition or some analysis over here. So did I give you some examples in these things?
लिखवाया.
See your notes
Yes,
now. I
ma'am.
think I have given you the example of some of these.
Only the stock composition analysis.
Stock
Just
composition, no?
given.
Okay. Okay. Can you just click a photo and send it in the group, please?
Okay.
Stock composition pe. Actually, you can send the whole answer, you send it over there. Now, guys, while we have to understand the analytical procedure, please understand we have to cover the sum of the assertions here now. Yes? Nonsense, it didn't change anything. All right, now. Okay, can you please confirm to me in the study mat you only have the process for occurrence and the completeness for purchases? Or did they mention separately anything for measurement?
When they mention the all four analysis in measurement only. The consumption analysis, the stock composition analysis, ratios and reconciliation.
They didn't have separate point for occurrence kya?
No, ma'am, we have separate point for
Occurrence
occurrence.
है मैम, occurrence तो है.
Ma'am, completeness और measurement को kind of compare.
अच्छा combine किया है क्या? Okay, okay, ठीक है, no problem. चलो, let's talk about occurrence. And completeness of purchase transaction. In case of occurrence, verify whether any fictitious vendors have been included in which master I'm talking about here? Whether purchases are recorded by reviewing entities policy for vendor selection and also ensure existence of vendors. Can you guys tell me what master I am talking about? Fictitious vendor have been recorded in?
Customer.
Supplier, na? We are doing the purchases.
अच्छा, sorry.
Why will we check customer master supplier के case में जो ही So verify whether any fictitious vendors have been recorded in the supplier master and then verify whether the purchases are recorded after reviewing the entity's vendor selection process. Do you remember from that example? I gave you two case scenarios. Let me just take you here for a while. Did I not tell you that in case of when you take when the purchase department take the rate, there can be two scenarios. Either that item is already included in the item master and they have the supplier and everything, then it is fine. But if it is not, then there is a quotation taken from the supplier. So every company has a policy. At least they will take 3 quotation, 5 quotation, 7 quotation before finalizing that particular vendor. So that is why you are supposed to check the whether the purchases are recorded by reviewing the entities policy for the vendor selection. If for any item, if there is a new item requirement, there is no vendor, they have to first follow the vendor selection process. Then they have selected the vendor, they have finalized the rate, and then only they have actually raised the PO to that particular vendor. So you also have to check the existence of the vendor then. Third, whether PO was raised based on valid PRN and are approved by delegated authority. Yes, you remember this point? PO was raised based on the valid PRN and approved by the regular. I have covered this point in the controls जब मैं ऊपर समझा रही थी. Then whether goods are received at factory gate and whether there is entry in the security gate inward register. So you will call the security guy and tell him that can you please give me the and whatever sample you have selected, can you give me the gate entry register for the these months? So he will bring that register and then you verify, or better you go with your sample data with your laptop and go at the factory only and go and check the gate entries at that place, right? And then whether quality inspection of goods are done, then whether GRN was prepared and signed by appropriate person, that warehouse manager or whoever has done the GRN, then whether stock record has been updated by stores staff, and last whether purchase invoice was approved by delegated authority before accounting. Now, whenever you are checking the occurrence, do you have some special considerations in your book, guys? That invoice copy should be in original.
Yes, ma'am.
You have that special considerations.
Yes.
Just quickly revise and write that also. A special consideration. Purchase invoice should be in original copy.
Ma'am.
Purchase, yes. Which point?
The left hand side is also this big because I'm going to the next page. So should I divide?
No, right hand side. So these, okay.
Sorry,
So
right hand.
I only need to write 3-4 more points and I will be done with this page only. So then we will move to the completeness part.
So completeness is as big as occurrence?
Completeness has no. Completeness has only 4 points. No, it is
Okay.
not.
Okay.
Now, then purchase invoices are booked when R
Then
and
it's
R are
transferred.
transferred to your client, right? Sometimes these people do what? Like, I'll tell you what they do. Sometimes the material you have not even received in the factory. But this accounting guy, what he does, the moment there is a supply, whenever supplier sends the invoice, now he take the snap of that invoice or the PDF copy and he send it to the customer over the email that we have dispatched your material. Now he has only dispatched. Now, did you receive the material? It takes at least 3-4 days for the transportation. For example, the material has come into the port in Mumbai. From here to material to go to the Delhi, it will take at least 6 to 7 days. How can you just book the invoice the moment the material is received at the port in Mumbai? right? There is the transportation time between that. So only make sure that the purchase invoices are booked when the risk and rewards are transferred to the entity. And then purchase invoices should be in the name of entity. Then input tax component should have been booked into respective ledger. You remember you can't book the ITC just as a part of total cost, right? If you are going to utilize that ITC, then you have to book it separately. You can't just add into your total purchase cost.
Yes, because it's refunded. Credit is available. Like the credit is available for ITC.
Yes, yes, yes. For example, if the machinery you want to claim it as depreciation, then you book the entire cost of that machinery as purchase amount. Yes. You guys are so smart. You are able to relate it to your GST knowledge, your accounting standard knowledge, and you are very quick in answering also. Like I've seen this, like I really enjoy teaching this back.
Thank you, ma'am.
If it is a related party purchases, in case of purchase from the related party, you have to see approval of board, select samples, then select sample and check the price reasonability. Yes, only check the price reasonability, no problem. So I'll repeat the point. Under special consideration, you'll always make sure the purchase copy are in original. You should never accept a scanned copy of purchase. Client says what? We'll just ask them to get the original invoice copy from the supplier. Then make sure the purchase accounting guy book the purchases only when the risk and reward are transferred. Then purchase invoices should be in the name of the entity only, and input tax component has been treated properly in the respective ledger, and purchase from the related parties approved by board, and based on the selected sample, you check whether the price is reasonable. It is an arm's length. Tomorrow we will finish the remaining balance sheet items, guys. The loans and advances and everything, right? Intangible asset, PP. Only the part I'll leave here is the part we have already completed. We'll just go through that material. Like we will do it, we will understand it, but we will not write it like on all the Jan 25 questions.
Done, ma'am.
Now, let's see the completeness. So the very first thing you are going to do is perform under completeness cutoff. Perform cutoff procedures. Did I told you this problem of goods in transit wala case? The goods are still in transit and they will book the invoices without the R&R is transferred.
Yes.
Then accounting for goods in transit. Obtain WR. Now this is a funny WR. You don't take WRs for all the purchases. Then you perform analytical procedures that you have already done. You will do above in the above point, right? Now, you have to see the purchases invoice, purchase cutoff to ensure that purchases are recorded in correct accounting period. Auditor should examine last few days transaction of year ending and first few transactions of following year. To check the omission or delaying of recording of purchases, purchase invoice, whether they have omitted the booking or they have delayed the booking. So perform the cutoff procedure to ensure that the purchases are recorded in the correct accounting period. Auditor should examine the last few days transaction of the year ending with ending and the first few year ending and the first few transaction of the following year to check the omission or delaying of recording of the purchases invoice. Ensure accounting for goods in transit. Ensure correct accounting treatment for GIT as per agreed terms of vendor. So for example, your supplier of your client is in China, and supplier said in the terms of agreement in that the purchase order that you agreed, your client agreed with the supplier in China. He said, I will only deliver the goods on board. That means, you remember there must be a port in China, somewhere in Shanghai or some area in near the basically the coastal area. They must be having some port. So they have agreed that they will only deliver the goods on board. After that, like on that port means that, there is a boarding unboarding going on, or the loading unloading of goods that goes on at the port. So the moment the goods are onboarded and on that ship at the port in Shanghai, or in that China port, after that the risk will be transferred to you, your client, I mean. Understanding? So the moment the risk and reward is transferred, you can book the purchase cost. Then you don't have to wait, the material will come into my factory and all of that, because now it is your goods. So either you book that as a GITU purchase, but there has to be a proper treatment of it. If client's supplier agreed that no, the terms of delivery is till your factory gate. So unless and until it has come into factory gate, you will not record that GIT. Yes. So for all the purchase invoice, that is why whenever you go to the client now, for every supplier, read the terms of that particular transaction. Very important, because that way you will be able to analyze whether the purchase cost is booked correctly or not. And last, and the second next is obtain WR from management that all purchases that took place during the year have been properly recorded. So this WR you take as part of your SA 550. When I will teach you SA 550, we'll go through SA 551. There itself, there is a point that you will obtain written representation that entity has recorded all the transaction. So you don't have to take a separate WR for purchase. It is a common WR that you will take from the entity, that one they have prepared all the they have recorded all the transaction that are all the transactions that have occurred during the year. Yes. And then you will perform you will perform analytical procedure, and this is the analytical procedure you have, right? Homework to you. Yes, you don't do this together with whatever you have studied. Whatever we have studied, we will revise it once, purchase ka, then you will do this part ratio analysis, because this is something you will have to learn. Consumption, stock analysis, ratio and quantitative, and then we will discuss this tomorrow. Done?
Yes.
How old is your sibling, Harsiddhi? Can she study for CA now, from now only? Ask her to sit in the class with you.
Ma'am, she's doing actuaries.
Achha, she's okay. Then I thought she's like, younger sibling, like quite young or something.
She's young only, but she's 2 years younger.
Okay. Because I told this to my sister, like I have a nephew, so I told my sister that, like, the moment he reaches his 8th standard, I will make him study for CA first. And then, like, whatever he want to do, he can do. But, like, some idea about the accounting, idea about the financing, how financing works. I really want those kids to be smart about managing their finances. Taxes and everything they can learn later. Like, but at least they will have some idea. Now, when I was in school, like until my 11th standard, when I chose commerce, I had no idea about managing my personal finances also. And like, you should have some idea, right? Like about this, but it was never taught as such. Only the things that I learned at home, that's it. But never as part of the curriculum, so that I can choose, yes, I want to go into the investment banking, I want to go. I could never take that decision. Once I came into CA, then only okay, now there are so many fields. By that time, I was so much into audit. Then I end up doing the audit. Then I went into industry, doing different stuff in the industry. So, that option should have been available much earlier, so that I could have made that choice, like, where I want to go and all that. I just followed the path, like, whatever I got. But yeah, I should have that opportunity. All of you should, like, keep exploring. Like, there is so much you can do, like, once you become CA. Guys, what else? What else is pending? So except for that analysis part, do we have other income left? Now, P&L, the only last item for today is other income. Shall we do, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, we have class till 2:30, no?
Yes. So don't worry, we can leave a little early, but the moment we finished other income, then we can end the class. There are 2 homework for you. One, do 2 things. One, those special cases of sales you study once, and the special, this stock composition analysis, ratio analysis that you do over here. Yes?
And ma'am, also provident fund के लिए, what were the number of employees limit? आपने बोला था ना तो
Acha,
see
for provident fund के लिए, what is the,
Yeah.
yeah, just that Google it, you will get it now only. Like, just Google it. What is the number of employee requirement? Just check. The last I remember, it was something in the line of 2, but I'm not 100% sure now. What if there is any amendment?
um, 20 or more.
20 or more, na? 20, also they didn't change it, the requirement. So yes, I think Priyanka has sent the note for those stock composition analysis and ratios and consumption analysis. Cool. All right. So shall we do the last part now, the other income?
Yes, ma'am.
After sales only we have to do this. Okay.
Man, you'll send these notes now, last book.
This one you need.
Because some points अगर कहीं miss हो गया तो.
अरे यार, I'll request someone who has a better writing. Priyanka, can you please send like these notes? How you will struggle when you study on your own. At least I am here to tell you like what I write. My writing is not that good. I'll send it. I'll send it. Save it in your folder. My only concern is I feel embarrassed after the class. Like when I see my own notes in the revision session, I'm like, if I am thinking it twice before reading that one, how will you feel when you read my from my notes? So in the month of in the month of May, when you are giving your exam, I will work upon improving my handwriting on the digital board. I promise I am going to do that.
Thank you.
Now, other income part is very easy. It depends on which income you are actually auditing over here. Accordingly, then you will have to think what are the things that you need to include, right? I mistakenly streamed that in my regular channel. I was supposed to stream this one in my English channel. Every day something or the other. Exam pressure is making me crazy. Interest, dividend, profit, or loss on investment. First, understand what is their recognition criteria. Wait. Interest income on FD is recognized on time proportion basis, taking into account amount outstanding and applicable interest rate. So whenever there is a FD is done for the 5 years, 10 years. So the interest, you cannot accumulate the whole interest that you are going to receive at the end of 5 years together. So it will always based on the time proportion. So I'll repeat the sentence. Interest income on FD is recognized on time proportion basis, taking into account of amounts outstanding and applicable interest rate. Dividend only when entity, you will have to memorize this one, dividend ka. Entities right to receive payment of dividend is established. Second, it is probable that the economic benefit with the associated with the dividend will flow to the entity. And third, amount of the dividend can be measured reliably. There are the three things. Entity's right to receive payment is of dividend is established. Second, it is probable that the future economic benefit will flow to the entity. And third is the amount of dividend can be measured reliably. Because this was the real problem in the industry. Whenever that dividend needs to be declared in a general meeting somewhere, like the moment dividend is declared, that does not mean the people will receive the dividend. So your dividend, you can't just you have to make sure that, so sometimes there are just rumor that this year, the moment entity closes their books of account, there is a rumor that this year they will give 10% of the dividend, this year they will give 12%, 12 dividend at the rate of 12. Now the problem here is people will start booking the dividend income just because they have invested in that company. The answer is no. Make sure that you can measure the amount reliably, then there is a right to receive the dividend is established, and you have it is a probable thing that you will receive that cash for that dividend. Make sure based on the document, the declarations. So later on, what they did, they changed in the accounting and they told no, unless and until you actually receive that amount, you don't book the dividend just based on the declaration, because later on entity can cancel it. Once they declare the dividend in the AGM, then sometimes they cancel it. Then there are entities who end up making the dividend income. Now, in your books of account, in your accounting method, you see hardly dividend income is 1 lakh rupees, 2 lakh rupees. In real life, dividend income is not that less. The people who invest, they invest huge amount. So their dividend income is the huge amount. So there is a huge inflation in the other income.
Yes, ma'am.
And the later on, that amount is not realized also. Yes. And then in case of gain and loss on the asset,
Transfer of the title.
yes, only on the transfer of title from entity to whoever is the buyer. And it is determined as difference between redemption value minus carrying value. So sometimes now they don't ask you the audit procedure for the other income directly. They will ask you the recognition criteria for interest, dividend, and profit and loss on investment. So please be very careful what you are answering. There can be a small 3 marks question for these items. They have actually asked that once. Now, their audit procedure.
Yes, ma'am.
Shall we start, everyone? Now, audit procedures in case of fixed deposit, first of all, I just call the client and ask them to give you all the list of FDs, right? Obtain a list of all FD existing at beginning of the year and newly made during the year which you are auditing, plus applicable rate of interest plus number of days for which deposit is made. What will you do next? Whatever the information you got now, on the basis of that, now you verify the arithmetic accuracy. Verify the arithmetic accuracy. Now, whatever is the remaining deposits at the end of the year, can you please call the bank, not call the bank, can you please draft a confirmation letter and obtain a confirmation from the bank for the closing FDs? Can you all, guys?
Yes, ma'am.
For closing outstanding balance at year end, obtain confirmation from bank or financial institution. Now, whenever you obtain this confirmation, not just for the account balance, you also ask them to clarify you for that but amount of period, like what the 12 months period or the 6-month period. Suppose this is a FD made in the during the period. So now ask the bank to also confirm to you what is the total income that is accrued to that entity, not paid, accrued. Because in case of FD, interest doesn't get paid by the bank every month. It is not, right? So under this point, also confirm total interest income and compare it with books of account. Now, there is one more document. That is your 26 years TDS certificate. Now, whenever the bank gives interest, there is a TDS amount they deduct. Now, in TDS certificate, there is a gross income and then there is a net income after tax deduction, right? So you will get the confirmation about the total income from that from TDS certificate as well. So last point is fourth, confirm total income from 26 years, that is TDS certificate. These are for your FDs. Now you go to dividend. Now verify the dividend is recognized in P&L on the basis of recognition criteria. And you write the recognition criteria, all 3 points over here from the top. So all these points will come over here.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, last, shall we do the P&L for the profit and loss for the sale of asset?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, if there are any, there are two type of like no, there can be the gain and loss on the sale of mutual fund. So
Investments.
first, verify the gain or loss on sale of mutual fund investment is recognized only when actually, why did they write that as sale of investment in mutual fund? What about other investments? No, don't write mutual fund. Huh? Sale of investment. And recognized only when same as recognition criteria. And you mentioned both the recognition criteria. Yes, as point A and B. Now, if investment is in mutual fund, obtain mutual fund investment and trace gain or loss in books of account is correctly reflected. And that's where we can close your other income as well. The
वो
only
स्टेटमेंट है वहाँ पे, म्यूचुअल फंड स्टेटमेंट है, इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं है.
अच्छा स्टेटमेंट क्या? ओके सॉरी आई मिस्टेक.
मैम स्टेटमेंट के बाद एंड के बाद क्या है?
And trace gain
ट्रेस
or
गेन.
in books of account whether it is correctly reflected.
डन.
Done. Now only 2-3 small points that are pending. Do it whenever you get the time. Don't read the rest of the other the income part. Why I'm telling? Because tomorrow when we start the class, I will first revise the income. It will take somewhere around half an hour, 45 minutes us to revise everything, but we will revise it again. There has to be some gap between you revise now. So give it at least 24 hours. And let's see how much you can remember tomorrow, and rest of the point that you cannot remember, you can recall it in front of me as well. Only, right? And then we will do the rest remaining of the balance sheet items. What do you say, guys? Tomorrow? Let's do that.
Yes, ma'am.
I hope you are okay with the class. We are overrunning. Actually, it is more than, it is about 4 hours kya? Now already. I think I started a meeting.
No,
a
ma'am.
little-
10.
3.5 घंटे.
Yeah. Good. So you are feeling okay now, comfortable. Now you are comfortable with me, like, teaching. So you don't feel that much exhausted in this, right? I hope. So let's cover with the same energy. Let's cover tomorrow will be the last for audit of items of financial statement. I will cover the remaining balance sheet items. See, we've already
ma'am.
done the borrowing part. What is not done then? Borrowing we have done. Reserves is not done. So okay, we have the first page now to this. One second. We have marked somewhere, right? Yesterday, what are the topics we did? What are pending? Okay, let's highlight here only, so that we can track our progress.
Share capital is done.
This is done, purchases, this is done. Share capital fully done. Long term borrowings is done. Only that disclosure part I had given you to do it on your own. Rest we didn't do any of this, right? So we have the current liabilities tomorrow. Now you will be able to manage I will teach you current liabilities, but remember current liabilities and current asset, especially trade receivable and trade payable, what will happen? Because you have done the purchase and income, sales part is so much in depth, you will be able to correlate it to your current, trade payables and trade receivables tomorrow. So I think that will be easy. We have to do the provision, then we will do the contingent liability, tangible, intangible asset. Tangible, intangible asset is also, I think you will be able to manage because you have done the depreciation, you have done the PP, clause 1 that I have revised. and then loans and advances. Let's see how are we going to manage that in the next tomorrow 4 hours. Yes, the timing will be around same 10:30 to 2:30 p.m. Right?
तो मैम कल फिर chapter 5 will be over
So
mostly.
tomorrow chapter 5 will be over, and then we can go to
Like tomorrow only we'll start next chapter or day after tomorrow? we'll
no,
start?
actually tomorrow we will be fully utilizing it for balance sheet item. Balance sheet items has a lot of point, it has a lot of assertions for each of these items. So let's complete it fully. Let's not keep any other target for this, because I really want you to secure your 15 marks into chapter 5, 15 to 20, whatever marks they want to ask, right? Whether they are ask it part of case studies, MCQs, this you should be able to answer because you have studied it in depth, right?
So ma'am, then day after tomorrow we'll do chapter 10.
Or
Oh,
chapter
Audit
9.
of bank.
We can do chapter 10, right?
Audit of banks. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we can do audit of bank now.
So in 4
So
hours, we
26.
finish that.
Sorry.
So we'll finish that on 26, like एक दिन में ही हो जाएगा chapter 10.
I think, yeah, because audit of bank, we are not doing the writing practice. We have to do the recalling session. So I think we will be able to manage in the 4-hour session.
And
The
then
yeah.
the 9th chapter will be done on 27.
Ninth, some part of it I have already covered, English in the English batch. I will cover. Yeah, let's see how it goes. So whenever we plan, tomorrow is what day, guys? Just a second. Today is
Tomorrow is
25th.
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 Today is
25th.
24th.
Okay.
Yes.
And then 26th.
And then 27th, we plan the
Marathon now. Okay, so we will have to cover those points. Okay, and then whatever is the remaining point, then I will take in the marathon itself, right? Along with that marathon recalling session, we can do whatever let's try
Ma'am,
as much as we can now. Yeah, tell me now.
so ma'am, 27 we'll have one marathon and then again 1.5 days का दूसरा marathon होगा.
1.5, that is 1.5 days
Yeah.
marathon, right? Just before the exam. So let's do 27 full revision. So whatever, so I will not take the topics that I had already taken before. So this time, we'll be revising chapter 5, chapter 9, audit of bank, then your audit report chapter, right? Or all those 700 series that I will take, cargo I will take with you. Yes. So all of that we can do on 27th. Done.
Okay, ma'am.
And then whenever if you will anyone want to appear for the test, you can appear for the test also the next day in the morning or on the 27th itself if you have the energy left. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Chalo. Then have a nice, enjoy your lunch, guys. You have done a lot of hard work and thank you so much for this. Anyone watching on YouTube, thank you so much, guys, for sitting here. And tomorrow again, I will stream the audit of balance sheet items part, right? And anybody who has done some of the parts, who have missed any of the part, you will not get the recording of it in the Google Drive because it is already streamed on YouTube. So just check it from there, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, works. All right, then see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. Take care. Bye, everyone.